Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Pope Metallicus, and welcome back to Rock and Roll Religion, where we have a very special episode for you today. This is one I've wanted to do for a long time. They're one of my favorite bands, and they are actually the subject of Rock and Roll Religion episode 1, their last album being Bad Magic. And for those of you who are uninitiated, we are talking about the Mighty Motorhead. Just one of the greatest rock bands of all time. And here to help me do that, we have our very own metal machine, the Sentinel.
Hell,
How's it going, my friend?
going great, man. We're about to fucking. We're about to cover one of the greatest fucking rock and roll bands of all time, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Like, without genre descriptions, like, these guys are one of the greats.
They are to hard rock. No, they are to heavy metal. What I would say Creedence Clearwater Revival is to rock and roll.
I wouldn't disagree with that. And helping us do that, we have our very own inebriation machine, Sergeant Spice Rack. How's it going, my friend?
What is up? Hello. And yes, inebriated indeed, although of a different sort than alcohol today. But there will be some alcohol at a future date. How y'all doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on. And yeah, this is gonna be fucking awesome talking about this band. And you'll get a little bit of a newcomer's take to it as well, which I know a lot of the bands that we cover I'm fairly new to, but this one has been probably my favorite so far. I really enjoyed listening to
And
these
you know what?
guys.
Let's lead with that. Give us your take of the first record.
So the first record, this one was a bit of a grower on me. Grower. At first, when I listened to it, I was expecting more rock and roll, and then I hear punk and blues, so it threw me for a loop, and I'm like, I don't know what to think about these guys yet. I listened to the other three albums, and then I go back to this album, and I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking like it. And it was it's not the thing that like it's not to say like I don't like punk or I don't like blues. I love that. I grew up like learning how to play blues, but it was just like it threw me for a loop because I didn't know what to expect with Motorhead. I thought it was going to be a lot more like heavy rock and roll, but then I kind of like took myself out of that headspace. I'm like, these guys, they started in the 70s, late 70s ish. So I kind of need to put myself in that headspace of like what music was like back then, and then going back and really like listening to it more. These guys were a game changer back then. There were really not a lot of bands that were playing what they played, and they did it really fucking well. So going back and just like with each listen, it's just I'm loving it more and more. And I fucking love it. Like this is gonna be one of those bands where I'll go hunting for CDs and vinyls and T-shirts to wear and all
And
that
honestly,
stuff.
that's why we have this show.
Yeah.
Is especially to resurrect bands like this that will never produce another album again,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
They are gone.
Hmm.
It's a celebration and a promotion of the band, to be honest.
Exactly. And these
Yeah.
guys are one of the impetus behind all of the music that came later.
It really
Yep.
is. Yeah.
Whether it be heavy, speed, thrash, or black metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like these guys influenced all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I cannot stress that enough.
Yep.
And let's just acknowledge the chat real quick. We've got Christian Delorme. Hey, man. Always good talking to you. We've got you. We've got the Sentinel. We've got Arcasul in the chat. We got Trey Courtney. How's it going, my friend? And we got Soul Assassin, as always. Motorhead is one of those bands, man. Like, they speak to you on a very heartfelt level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys, I know a lot of guys who are younger than me found them through Triple H's The Game.
That's right.
And we'll get to that eventually. But today we're talking about their early career.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
But
The good
oh
good
man,
stuff.
that is nothing against the later career. They're just as
Yeah.
good later as they are now.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the albums we're talking about.
I would say with their debut, Motorhead was a fully formed, fully conceptualized statement from Lemmy. Like, you know how some bands start like Judas Priest and then they kind of grow into their identity? Motorhead already
Motorhead knew
had
who
their
they were.
identity musically and just refined everything going forward after that. I don't think even AC/DC can say that, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
Because
I
if
mean,
you listen to if you listen to songs off this album like White Line Fever, which is my favorite track on it,
Mm.
you can hear elements of how they wrote White Line Fever and other songs all throughout their discography.
I will say that my favorite track off this record is the title track, Motorhead.
That was my second favorite off the record.
And then honestly, Vibrator is another one I found really interesting.
I enjoyed that.
They had
That was one
vibrators
of the
back then?
that was one of the songs that threw me for a loop. And I'm looking
Well,
at the
because it's a
title and I'm
lot
just
more
like,
punk than people think.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're not wrong with White Line Fever and stuff like that. Like, that was absolutely part of their charm at this point. And I think I actually have the back of this record.
And also, I just want to say that.
And I want to draw attention to the top of this, description. Motorhead at its best: in your face, loud, fast, and nasty.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Loud,
of the
fast,
yes.
and nasty.
This is exactly what Motorhead is.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Horse, I think, was a good track as well. Like, this is not my favorite track out of these 4 albums by far. But I do love Motorhead, Vibrator, Iron Horse, White Line Fever. And like, this is just, and a lot of the back half of this is covers. Like Train Kept Rolling and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I think On Parole is a cover as well.
Okay.
But Jesus Christ, what a fucking debut.
Mm-hmm. A debut nobody really brings up, I would say maybe enough, to as a great, because like Van Halen,
their first album was just a fucking lightning strike.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It was lightning in a bottle. It was a fully formed identity put to vinyl.
Except in the case of Motorhead, this was only the start.
Yeah. That's what makes them even greater, in my opinion. Is that
Mila,
getting better and better and better.
Check your DMs in Discord. I want your opinion on this as well. Hang on 1 second, guys. While I extend an invitation to our Finnish representative.
Yes.
Yeah, the Finns definitely love Motorhead. I can't imagine. Oh, I know somebody who didn't like Motorhead, but I think it was more of a cultural thing with them. I was working in a Blu-ray company and I was fixing the sound. I was trying to diagnose like the sound problems with one of their upcoming prototype Blu-rays, and I was playing Motorhead Ace of Spades, and this dude he had immigrated to the United States, and it was like you could see him wince in pain. He had never heard anything like Motorhead before, and he was like, "How can you listen to that?" And I'm like, "It's awesome, man. What are you talking about?" So there's always somebody who doesn't really, gets de-virginized to Motorhead in some way, shape, or form.
De-virginized, deflowered.
Deflowered to Motorhead.
Brutally ear. Yeah. I was gonna say, we'll just say brutally eargasmed. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a lot of that going on with Motorhead, especially as they are in their early albums. Holy shit!
Yeah, so good, man, so good. Yeah. It's really hard for me going back through this album saying that there's a track that I didn't like. Because, like, for me, like I said earlier, it was just like it threw me for a loop. Because, like, I knew there were like early 80s, late 70s, but I was expecting more heavy metal and not as much punk. But it was not to say I don't like punk. I love it. And like this is like it threw me back to like back in high school when I was listening to more punk. And yeah, I loved it, dude. Absolutely loved it. It's great. And I do like Vibrator, Iron Horse, White Line Fever, like all those songs you mentioned, but it's like it's just hard for me to pick one out. There's like, yeah, this is my absolute
I'll
favorite.
just go with the title track of Motorhead.
Motorhead. It's a good one.
Is
Yeah.
Statement of Intent.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And yeah, Christian's right when he says it was Lemmy's lifestyle that marked him out.
Mm.
Because he lived the life that they sang about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he did it for a long time.
Beer drinkers and hellraisers. Yep.
Yep. And Jesus Christ. I mean, every time you saw the man, he had a Jack and Coke ready and had a cigarette either hanging out of his mouth or in an ashtray on his amp.
Yep. Yep.
So, that was the kind of guy you were dealing with. He didn't give a fuck if he was here for a long time. He wanted to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on the next album, they really just drove that home with Overkill.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, what a record.
Yeah. Yeah. So good, dude. So good.
From start to finish. Like Overkill itself is my favorite Motorhead track of all time. As I just played for, these guys before we started the stage fright version
Mm.
of them playing that live in 2007.
Okay. Okay.
So like they still had that kind of energy around this album
Yeah. Yeah.
and around this kind of song of just double bass rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I love, man. Double bass rock and roll, fast and heavy and loud.
I would love to hear the music that came out of, Lemmy and Jimi Hendrix doing Ass Together. That would have been fucking amazing.
Yeah, yeah. There was
Not
a
that we're advocating the use of drugs, YouTube, but I'm just saying there's a benefit that could have come out of it.
He was Hendrix's roadie.
Yes, he was.
Okay, okay. See, there was quite a few times listening to these albums, I was like, it almost feels like this would be if Hendrix went more heavy metal, went faster and heavier. And like it makes sense, like that they hung out and dropped a little bit of Lucy here and there, and probably had a
Yeah.
lot of jam sessions.
And you know what? That probably inspired him to join Hawkwind,
that was
which he did before he joined Motorhead,
okay,
or before he formed Motorhead.
okay.
And
In fact,
Hawkwind sounds
Motorhead
very
itself
different than
as a
Motorhead,
track,
right?
it really did. And in fact, Motorhead was the last song he ever wrote for Hawkwind.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
all right. I didn't know
And then
that
he
one.
did a different version of it on his own dime.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one that got them to Top of the Pops in England. It was kind of like American Bandstand, but the English version, where like they would play live to an extent. It wasn't actually a live performance because no one is going to put a rock band on a live performance with no delay
Yeah.
because they all know what we're like and they were terrified of what we were going to say. But you know what? They did a good job of it. and they ended up on Top of the Pops another time on the next album we're talking about. But we'll get to that later.
What's your Overkill is my favorite track on the album, but a close second is No Class, which has one of the fucking coolest riffs.
Dude, no class is just fucking phenomenal.
It is.
Oh yeah, that one. Right after Capricorn.
It's either that, Capricorn, or Louie Louie.
All great tracks, dude. But
because I mean, Louie Louie especially, like, everyone's covered it. But it's just so heavy.
Yeah.
It just stands out.
Yeah, especially when those lyrics are coming out of Lemmy's mouth, you know.
Yep.
I don't know how he managed to sound the same in the 70s as he did when he recorded the last couple Motorhead albums, because usually smoking and drinking to that extent.
Because he's fucking Lemmy.
Because he's fucking Lemmy.
That's the only answer I've ever come to, is because he's Lemmy. We don't because he's Lemmy. We don't fucking question it.
Right.
Oh man. And yeah, like, this album, I think, might be the best out of the four we're going to talk about today overall. Whether it be Capricorn, whether it be, No Class, Metropolis, all that kind of shit. I honestly think that Overkill itself elevates this album to all-time god tier. Just because of what it is, like, and how many bands have tried to. Hell, one thrash band actually named themselves after this song. Being Overkill.
Yeah, that is true.
And you know what? They're a great fucking band that we're probably going to cover in their own episode. Because I'm a fan.
I haven't heard enough of Overkill to really have an opinion about them. I've maybe heard one track, but not really. So I got to get into them.
Listen to like Mean Green Killing Machine and also Frankenstein.
Okay.
Like, that's their cover of Edgar Winter's Frankenstein is fucking phenomenal.
Yep. Agreed.
It's basically the same, just heavier. I would argue that those two make the argument for Overkill by themselves.
Right. Yep.
And holy shit, just how much whiplash you will give yourself listening to those records.
This is true.
And that's true for Motorhead as well. Like, the amount of whiplash you are going to give yourself listening to these records for the first time is just fucking nuts. And I'm right there with you. Because whether you're listening to it for the first time or the 100th time, it still has that magic. Like, you're still going to fucking raise your horns, bang your head, and just appreciate Motorhead.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, we're going to move into probably my least favorite out of the albums, which is Bomber.
Yeah, Bomber's an interesting one. It feels kind of like some of the songs get a little more on the psychedelic side. Like, I was like, wait a second, am I listening to like heavy metal Ozzy?
Yeah.
Or is this? But
well, they were influencing Ozzy.
Yeah.
At this point, because this is 1979. This is before Ozzy even had a band.
Yeah. And it's not to say that there's bad songs on it, but it's definitely not as heavy as, say, like Overkill was.
Like, this is probably, if I had to say the weakest of the three, this would be my go-to. Although there are still amazing tracks on this record, like the title track, Bomber itself.
Yeah, yeah. I like the first one too, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Oh yeah,
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a great opener. It's funny too, because I was feeling like out of all the albums, like I like this one and Overkill a lot,
vent for me,
but
guys. I gotta go for
Ace of
1
Spades is
second.
great. Um, I get where you're saying like it kind of feels like it's the weakest one because it's not as like heavy, as fast or as thrashy as like the other albums for sure. But at least in my take when I was listening to Bomber through it's almost as if like they took a little bit more of the like jamming with Jimi Hendrix, psychedelic dropping acid type roots. Like there's still some punk there. There's still some like fast heavy stuff, but yeah, yeah. When you stack it up against like Ace of Spades or Overkill, um it's still not going to be as like heavy as fast as those albums, but I like Bomber. I I'm a fan of it. It's a great album. And yeah, like we're saying, like there's some great tracks on here. And um I'm absolutely terrible with remembering names. I have to pull up the discography to look at it, but freaking Dead Man, Poison, those are two that I like a lot. And of course, Bomber, the title track. What would you say, Sentinel?
I would say for me, Motorhead Bomber the record is a bit of a mixed bag. As a
Hmm.
it's a mixed bag in that the way the tracks are laid out, it
Hmm.
kind of it takes you on kind of a roller coaster ride. Some are a little slower, some are a little have more edge, some are more punky. For
Right.
me, again, Motorhead is at their best when they're fucking catchy and writing anthems. So for me, the best song on this is Stone Dead Forever. I fucking
Stone
love
Dead's a
that
good
song.
one. Yeah, Stone
Yeah,
Dead's a good
Stone Dead
one.
Forever and Bomber, the title track. I
Okay, yep.
absolutely love off this album. And let's take a look at the album art for a minute, because I never noticed Lemmy, Phil, and what's his name? Uh, Lemmy, Eddie Clark. I never knew they were in the Bomber itself until like recently when I looked at the album for the
Oh my
first
god,
time.
you're right. I
They're
didn't even
in
notice
there.
their faces. Oh my
They're in
god,
there.
their faces are right there on the
Exactly.
dude's suit or
I
like
never
mega
noticed
thing.
that before. I thought it was just like reflections off
Yeah.
glass.
Oh, but it's almost like they're inside this like gunship and they're like shooting. That's like, that's pretty
Exactly.
fucking creative. I like
It
that.
is.
Uh,
And they're dropping bombs. It's a
they're
great
dropping
cover.
bombs.
Exactly. Great
Jaeger
cover.
bombs.
Oh my God!
Oh
Don't get me
man,
started on Jaeger bombs, man.
dude,
Crazy, crazy times.
yeah, some of my worst nights were definitely with the Jaeger.
Demon in
But
a
yeah,
bottle, without a doubt.
yeah. No, it's a good album, but I would agree it is kind of a mixed bag. And I can see why Pope says it's kind of like the weakest one because it's got its highs and lows. Like there's not it's just not as heavy or as fast as like Ace of Spades or Overkill, like in its entirety. But there is still like some great like classic songs on here for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, and like I did like some of the sort of like off the cuff, like kind of slower songs or like more psychedelic songs. Like it was a nice change of pace. It was like, okay, okay, like I can dig it.
Yeah,
But
when Motorhead slows down, like they're kind of one of those like, oh, okay, this is just kind of a slower track.
mm-hmm,
Like this
yeah,
isn't going to be like a sonic change for them.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely so Stone Dead Forever. Okay, that one's right after Poison. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like those tracks. Oh, Pope's ready to go.
What you guys just noticed?
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice.
I'm breaking it in.
Cool.
So
You just get it?
no, I've had it for a while, but I've never actually worn it that much.
Ah, okay.
So, and I got the plates a lot later. So I'm adjusting it.
Take a little bit of what's it called when
Of just sitting there wearing
where?
it.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think of the term of like when you break in a horse, or like you train it down or whatever. But I
Well,
don't know.
yeah.
It's just breaking it
Well,
in.
it's
Or
very
like a
different.
baseball glove.
It's more
Yeah,
like that where you're just sitting there breaking this fast in.
Yeah, just beating the shit out of it. You know.
that makes sense. Yep.
It's the first one I've had since I got out of the Marine Corps, and this one is a lot better than a lot of the ones we had. We'll say,
Mm,
I'm a little more padded in the front than I used to be.
I can relate.
Uh,
All the nights of drinking beer and pizza.
mhm.
Uh, mm.
Dude, beer and pizza will be the bane of my fucking tummy.
Oh man, but it's so good, so good.
It really is. Like,
Uh,
it's just like, oh, how can I? It, how can something so wrong feel so right?
right? Uh, oh man.
But yes, this is one of my. This is my actual armor plate.
Mm.
Oh, did you ever notice the Lemmy and Eddie Clark and Phil in the bomber itself?
Yeah, I did. Actually, like when you look at the album art itself, it does actually feature all three.
Mm.
Lemmy's up front, and that is a Heinkel HE-111, which fits with Lemmy's love of German aircraft and German military equipment in general.
He was a fan of German anything, to be honest.
Yeah, and people tried to cancel him for it later in life, and
Yeah,
he basically just went, "Well, if the British had better looking stuff, I would have collected theirs."
exactly.
He didn't give a shit about politics or whatever. He was literally looking at aesthetics.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen that video of him responding to a letter from a black kid who liked heavy metal?
Yeah, and
I
he's
love
just
that
like,
video.
"Go
Mm.
for it."
And he's like, Jimi Hendrix did all right, kid.
Yeah, he's basically like, "Do what you want." Jimi Hendrix did okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, hell, dude was high most of the time he was playing live.
And he was also playing offhand
Yeah,
most
yeah.
of the time.
Took a right hand, turned it into a left hand, originally played it upside down and then flipped the strings around. Like, dude's just
Yep.
out there, out there. And I don't mean that in any like bad way. I mean like the amount of like I don't know if you could call it intelligence really, but just like his intuitiveness and creativity. Like that's
Yeah,
what makes Hendrix Hendrix. That's why he's like
mhm,
and that's what
known.
makes Motorhead Motorhead
mhm,
as well.
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely, yeah.
You can't clone Lemmy.
No, you can't.
You really can't, yeah.
And like, I mean, Trey has it. This is just Motorhead being Motorhead.
Yep.
And also me being a dork with the armor, but it's just me being a dork.
Mm.
And we'll see how many people think I look like shit in it, because I do. I should anyway.
Man, Sabaton just, puts flak vests on themselves all the time. So,
Well, I mean, they put metal plates on themselves. This is
Mm.
actual armor.
all right.
Like, this is what actual warriors of my generation wear.
Yep. Yep.
And in fact, this is actually more advanced than the stuff we had going overseas, because this I bought after I got out.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
And I got out basically in the middle of two generations
Mm.
of personal armor systems. it went from the OG, like, you know, OTV and MTV systems, where a lot of it was soft armor and they had, you know, armored plates
Mm-hmm.
in the middle. This is basically the SPC, the next generation one, where it's a lot lighter
Okay.
and a lot
Okay.
more mobile, but it still has the front and back plate.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why I bought it. This is a very, very mobile and yet protective vest.
Mm.
And you know, I plan on losing enough weight to actually be able to fit into it correctly at some point.
Let's go running, man. Lots of running.
Uh, you're not wrong.
That's something I got to do again. It's been years since I've ran, but
Oh man, like it's bad. Like I
mm,
gotta get into another weightlifting program essentially.
same. Same.
But while we're on that subject, we're going into, you know, not only, let's face it, these are the three goofballs
Yeah.
responsible for all of the music you guys are going to hear today.
Filthy Animal Taylor. That picture is just great.
Yep, and that was his name
Phil.
in the
Yeah.
band. And also, I think he was the inspiration behind Animal on the Muppets.
Really?
If he, oh my god,
Yeah, because he was a drummer
What?
and he had the fucking wild
oh
hair and
my
all that
fucking
stuff.
god, if that's true,
That's
oh, man,
awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
I'm not
dude.
sure that's the case, but if it is, that's amazing.
It
Yes.
it
Because
it really
Animal
does
is
seem like
fucking
it.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Oh,
Animals
you're right, because
had
he's
a
got the
drum
like
duo.
wild hair. He's got the
Yeah, yeah.
drumsticks. Goes
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah.
Animal has had the puppet has had a
Mhm.
drum duel with Nico McBrain. Have you ever seen that video?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
And the dude who's
What?
running that puppet knows how to drum. I'm not
Yes.
gonna say. I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Like that's the fucking hilarious part.
Mm.
Is that
Mhm.
that man is, you know, giving drum instructions to a puppet who is then drumming against an actual drummer. And he's doing okay. Like,
Right.
he should be getting destroyed, but he's not.
Have you guys seen? Do you know the classic album series where they have a documentary on a particular classic album that a band has done, and they
Yep.
have interviews with the band, and the band performs the song and something like that? If you've seen the one on Ace of Spades by Motorhead, that is one of the best ones to watch.
I have, and you're not wrong. Jesus
Phil
Christ,
Taylor
is
is
it
one
good.
of the funniest people.
I mean, all three of them are hilarious.
Yes. I love the story about how they were fighting and somehow Phil broke his neck and now he had like a big knob on his neck because but they had to
Yep.
like get on back on the stage so you see him and he's like in some photos around that time and he's got like a neck brace, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Broke his fucking neck and got on stage with a fucking neck brace. Just incredible.
Wait,
Yeah.
like that actually happened, or?
I think
Yeah,
it
it
did.
did.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
yes, for those of you who are saying that this is riding a little high for me, that's because I have a tummy down here and it's pushing it up. So I'm a little fatter than I should be, but you know, it's all right. It'll all even
It's
out in the end.
okay. uh,
It's
another
all right.
rumor.
It's okay.
Animal was based on Ginger Baker. I mean, I could see that.
No,
Ginger
yeah,
Baker was a
I
pretty
could
wild
Yeah, I
totally
can
player,
see
but
that too.
I can
yeah.
see that too. Or Keith Moon.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Phil Taylor makes the most sense.
As in filthy
But-
animal.
Yeah,
his
yeah,
fucking name, and he was doing it right about the time that the
yeah.
Muppets became popular.
Let me see when Animal was introduced in the Sesame Street.
I wonder if they kind of did it as like it's an homage to like their favorite drummers. I don't know,
You
it's like
know,
all the
I
great
wouldn't be
drummers at the
surprised.
time. Yeah, like Ginger Baker, that would make sense. He's freaking phenomenal. And
Oh,
anybody
I
in the
mean,
chat that hasn't like watched a video of Ginger Baker playing, like look it up on
do
YouTube.
that
It's
shit.
there.
He is
Dude is
phenomenal.
nuts. He's totally out there, but such a great drummer.
He's up there with Keith Moon and Neil Peart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, I could see Ginger
And
Baker.
I'd put Phil Taylor into that lineup with that double bass that he's doing on Overkill and especially Bomber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit! Frank Oz was the performer of Animal
Frank Oz.
from
No.
1975 to 2000. So that's Frank Oz puppeteering Animal during that drum duel with Nico McBrain and
No
all
fucking
the
way.
So
performances.
that's just Frank Oz being Frank Oz.
That's goaded, man.
That's
I-
fucking that's unbelievable that he
Oh
managed to
my
beat one of the
God.
best heavy metal drummers that there's ever been.
That's
That's
right.
fucking awesome, dude.
And
Oh.
he's a fucking puppet.
Oh, he did Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Sam Eagle.
Oh, Frank Oz did
Okay,
a lot
okay.
of the fucking
Yeah,
Muppets.
I knew he did a couple of them, but shit.
Well, it's
That's
almost
pretty
like you know who
awesome.
did all of the voices for the original Looney Tunes, right? Is Friz Freeling.
Where do I recognize his name from?
Because he was the guy who did all of the voices for the Looney Tunes.
I was wondering if it was in anything else, but maybe I don't recognize his name.
You don't even need
I'm
to
high
be
as shit.
if you're that.
I mean, I used to
impressive.
watch Looney Tunes a lot as a kid, but
Oh, I mean, like, let's face it, when we were kids,
mm,
that shit was all over TV.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
But now it's not allowed
Eh,
because, you know, it might be racist. Same
no.
thing with probably the Three Stooges, which
Sadly,
fuck you. The Three Stooges are fucking hilarious.
they're fucking classic, man. Timeless classic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I work in shipping, and I have sent packages to Walla Walla in Washington, and I cannot help but giggle. Think, there's a Walla? There's a Walla. You must be in Walla Walla.
That's awesome.
Oh man, like I can't just fucking ignore that. It's such simple fun that it's hilarious.
Mm.
Oh, that's right.
Blues
Yeah,
Brothers. Yeah.
it's the prison clerk. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Blues Brothers was awesome, man.
The Blues Brothers was just fucking phenomenal. Like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
face it, you have Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi just doing music on their own.
Yeah.
Granted, it was based on a Saturday Night Live sketch, but
Yeah.
like they just amped it up to 11. Like the same thing with Animal House.
Right, right.
Like that was all National Lampoon. And Vacation was also written by the same guys, I think in the same year
Okay. Okay.
as Animal House.
Animal House is great, man.
Oh man, like that is classic American comedy.
Yep.
And I think Vacation is just behind it.
Mm.
Although if you're talking my personal favorite comedies of all time, Blazing Saddles is up there.
Hell yeah, dude. I was like,
Blazing Saddles, Airplane, and maybe Monty Python and the Holy Grail at the top.
yep.
Like you just can't argue with any three of them.
Yeah, yeah. I love all of those, man. Freaking I remember when I was first introduced to
Like
Monty Python.
you'd have to stop laughing long enough to actually argue
Right.
against it, and that's not possible.
It's just not. Dude, I was just dying, like nearly pissing myself laughing so hard. Like the first time I watched it, and the skit, that classic skit with the freaking the Black Knight, where he's just limbless by the end of it and like hobbling around.
Come back here, you yellow bastards! I'll bite your legs off.
So
like,
good.
Everyone's just fucking doubled over at that point. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like that movie, I'm sorry, you just don't like comedy.
Yeah.
And that makes you a bad person. Like, if
anybody who doesn't find that funny,
if you can't laugh at that movie,
right?
You just no. I don't even understand how you're a human.
Right.
Because it's funny no matter who the fuck you are. And, that's one of those things that Motorhead does with music is, regardless of whether you think it is heavy or not, everyone fucking enjoys it. And that becomes plainly clear on this last record we're going to talk about, which is the immortal Ace of Spades.
Hell yeah.
This record, I mean, guys, you go down your experience with this before I get into it, because I don't even know how to sum it up.
My awareness of Motorhead began with the Tony Hawk skater video game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yep.
And the intro to the video game is Ace of Spades, the song.
Yeah, that's actually I'd say the exact same thing, because most of the songs I recognize are from Ace of Spades and the title track, and from the exact same game.
That's how I got into Motorhead, was playing that game. I got into heavy metal through skateboarding. I got into heavy metal through skateboarding.
If that's not the most Californian thing I've ever heard, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah, I'm from California, man.
Oh yeah, I know.
Same. I mean, go fucking figure. Who is that really popular guy that came out of Carlsbad? I'd actually seen him at a couple of like live competitions in California. I forget his name now. But yeah, there's a couple of like skaters I remember that were like based from the same area that I was like, I remember as a kid playing the video game, and then later on like actually see them I guess not perform, but like actually compete in some competitions out there, and be like just mind blown watching them do that shit. But yeah, punk, heavy metal, a lot of this shit got introduced through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the tail end of this era.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of shitty. I didn't like stick with it, but a lot of it was just my upbringing.
I'm just glad that they didn't, paste over it with Red Hot Chili Peppers and fucking Green Day.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy older Green Day, and I do enjoy a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff musically. Mostly because their bassist is a fucking monster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they were also subject to this kind of record where they're just like, oh, this is our competition. Because this is 1980. That's the amazing thing about all three of the albums that we were just talking about, from Overkill to Ace of Spades, is they all happened inside of a year.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was just like, how the fuck? And these aren't short albums either.
I think Overkill came out on March 24th, 1979. And I think this came out on March 26th, 1980. So inside of 367 days, they had produced this much content that was just classic. That's insane.
Yeah.
How many bands can say that?
Almost none.
Maybe
Almost
Maiden?
none.
Maybe Judas Priest.
Yeah, Priest in the 80s, definitely.
Or in the late 70s, early 80s, yeah.
Yes. Starting with Killing Machine, at least for me. Killing Machine.
I would say with Staying Class.
Oh, you look at all three of these albums, though, they're like 10, 12, 14 songs each. Like, they're full albums. They're not
Yeah,
short at
but like
all.
when it comes to Priest, me and Sentinel are going to have this argument one day
Mm.
of where true Priest starts.
Oh,
And
that's
then
yes, yeah. I've got
we're going to
yeah,
lay
I've
the
got
whole
my
thing out.
yeah.
And I can't wait to have that conversation because it's such a fun
That should be
conversation.
interesting. That should be interesting. Because some things I might not have thought up from a certain perspective, and some things you might not have thought up from a certain perspective.
Absolutely.
And I would, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And I would love to have Herbs there
Mm.
looking on because you've listened to Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're best with Screaming for Vengeance. So now you're going to how we get there and how we continue on from there.
I'm down to watch that.
Which
I don't know if I'll referee, but because I might laugh too much.
I mean, that's absolutely why you should referee. You're laughing too much to disagree.
Oh no! I'll bring the beer and the herbs.
Exactly.
Oh man, no, yeah, I'm definitely down to be there for that. I know you talked about doing more Priest episodes and going through more of the discography.
Oh, we are going to. Like I went through the albums that I was going to go into individually already, being Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith, and I did those things justice as much as I could. Now we're going to go into, like we are with Motorhead today, the origins of one of the greatest metal bands of all time.
Can I just say for one moment and appreciate how fucking cool this album cover looks and how fucking cool the clothes that they're wearing are?
Oh yeah,
that looks
I was
so
thinking
fucking cool, man.
Like they're literally just. I mean, this is 1980, and this is just going to be the heavy metal fashion going forward.
It's that like Bandito or Desperado, sort of like the classic Clint Eastwood films, but wearing all black as per usual with heavy metal. Like
and it looks like leather too.
Yeah, badassery cranked up to like 420.
So basically, the jacket is entirely leather.
Mm-hmm.
What looks like it.
They're all wearing cowboy boots.
Yep.
Well, hey, fucking Phil has a bullet bandola. Is that what it's called? Where it's like across your chest and shit.
Bandolero, I think.
Bandolera, yeah.
Yep. And they're typically it can be for rifle bullets or shotgun shells. But bandoleros is basically just for whatever bullets you have.
They were supposed to be
pistols.
for.
They've got pistols, don't they?
Well, they were supposed to be for both rifle and pistol.
Oh no,
because
I'm saying
your repeater was also supposed to be the same cartridge. As your pistol.
Yeah.
So that you could just have bandoliers and a gun belt.
Bandoliers
that just had rounds in it.
So bandolero was more the like Spanish word for it, or
bandolero would be the same thing. And I think we have a guest joining us here very, very shortly.
Right on. Join in on the fun.
She's going to be here in like 15 minutes. Those of you who have seen me on It's Only Talk and Roll will know her. She is It's Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. She is actually a punk artist herself.
Very cool.
Like she was actually in the scene.
Nice.
both as a booker and also as a bass player.
Nice. Very cool.
So we're gonna wait till she shows up because I would love to see what she has to say about the first three, about these albums, especially because I know she's a huge Motorhead fan.
Right on.
And I mean, we all came into this later in our lives because we're, mid-30s at the latest, and I think that's me being 35. So I would love to see what her opinion was on Motorhead coming out. Because this is the first 4 albums that they've ever put to vinyl.
Yeah.
I would love to see what the opinion of someone who was living during that was.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Because I mean, we love them. I think I speak for all 3 of us. Motorhead, 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like, oh man. It's so fucking easy just for us to say, like, oh yeah, decades later, that these guys are super influential. But I think she can give us a little bit of a answer as to why. Because she was around during that period.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Always great to get that perspective.
Absolutely.
People that have been to those shows during that time and playing those shows as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I guess I'm running the show now. What's up, chat? How y'all doing? So yes, I am inebriated. No alcohol, but inebriation of other sorts. Sentinel, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Herbs. I'm doing good. Did you know that this photo was taken in some sort of sand quarry? It's not actually in the United States. It's actually at some sort of quarry in England.
Oh, no shit.
No shit. Nobody believes it's real, but that is a clear British sky with cumulus clouds, which doesn't happen often if you live in England.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that's like that's as rare as catching a leprechaun.
So, Pope, did you know that this photo was taken in just a random quarry in England?
Yep. Like, it wasn't taken in the Southwest at all, and yet it looks
like it is.
It looks like the cover for a Western film.
Yeah.
And
spaghetti. There's definitely a spaghetti Western film.
Oh man, and for those of you who are not fans of spaghetti westerns like I am, man, you should watch some of them, like the Dollars trilogy, or a lot of the older westerns.
Once Upon a Time in the West is
Once Upon a Time in the West is a more modern take, or also the remake of 310 to Yuma.
That was good.
Oh yeah,
that was good. It was more. Is that spaghetti westernish or just straight up western?
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about westerns in general.
Oh, okay. The 310 to Yuma remake is very good. I like it.
It is. It really is.
I've seen the more recent remake, but I do want to go back and watch the original 310 because I did enjoy that remake. It was pretty good. It's I don't know if I'd put it in my top 5, but it's up there. It's definitely up there as far as westerns go.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that all of them are worth a watch.
Mm-hmm.
At least once. Like, if westerns aren't your thing, then watch these once and then be like, okay, it's not really my thing.
Coming from a family where my parents listened to a lot of Johnny Cash, they watched a lot of John Wayne. And my mom grew up watching like Rifleman, um, quite a lot of those other like well-known like Western serials, the TV shows. It's
like Bonanza, Gunsmoke.
yeah, yep, Bonanza. That was the one I was trying to think of. It's the one we watched the most growing up. It's one of those things. It's like it's very sentimental connection. So yeah, I love westerns too.
Well, and Fizz, if you've seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you need to watch the first two, which
Absolutely
is
do.
A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More.
Fistful of Dollars. You got to watch that, dude.
And I would say the
Both of them
second
good.
movie is just as good.
It is. It's just as good.
Like,
But
all three movies are just fucking phenomenal.
yeah, I'd say sit down, get all three of them, watch them back to back, and then you'll understand why Good, Bad, and the Ugly is like a phenomenal.
And yes,
It's samurai films.
the
Yes,
the Kurosawa films. Get
Mhm.
in here. Like, I know I sent you the link. Get on in here and talk with us, because oh man, those Kurosawa's samurai films are just as good as the westerns.
I would, yeah, definitely agree with that.
Agreed. Agreed.
In fact, there's a new game coming out called Trek to Yomi
I've seen
that
that. Yeah.
is basically a Kurosawa film that you play through.
Trek to Yomi. I've been debating getting that because I'm like, this looks really good. It looks like a
Dude,
lot of
it
fun.
looks fantastic, and I've already
Yeah.
bought it. Like,
Okay.
How do you
Okay.
spell it?
Trek to
Trek
Yomi.
to Yomi.
Yomi should be Yomi, I
Yep.
believe.
Okay,
And it's
got
just
it.
Trek to Yomi.
Yeah. I'm actually
Oh,
gonna.
it's on Steam. Oh, it is on PS4. Okay.
Oh
Yeah,
man, like
it should be console
this
too.
game is just so good.
Wish list it here because
I definitely got to check it out.
And
haven't
Herbs,
bought it
we
yet.
still need to fucking drop together in Battlefield in MechWarrior 5.
Dude, we do need to go through. I was gonna go download the mods Imperatus was telling me about, but I
Dude,
do want to do a vanilla run.
honestly, if you want to do a vanilla run, I'll do it with you,
Cool.
because I'm
Oh
actually
yeah.
pretty decent and I can explain why the mods exist
Okay. Okay.
in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. But we'll coordinate that this week,
Hell yeah.
and I'll see if I can't drop with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be hella fun. I still have it installed, like
And
ready to go.
ask Imperatus, me and a commando is actually a pretty fucking horrifying experience, because
Oh man.
because it just has that salvo ability.
Oh, if you want great samurai films that just aren't Kurosawa films, check out the Lone Wolf and Cub series of films.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And
Like,
don't get that Shogun Assassin bullshit that Tarantino wants you to get. No, fuck
and
that shit.
also,
Get the Lone Wolf and Cub film.
speaking of Shogun, just download Shogun
Yes, that's a great.
by in the 70s, the miniseries.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was really, really fucking good. For those of us who've read the book, it was still really good.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's a endorsement in and of itself, is that guys who have read the book still really enjoyed the fucking miniseries. It was done in the same style as like Roots, but I think it starred Richard Chamberlain
Richard Chamberlain,
as
Toshiro Mifune was in
Edward
it.
Blackthorne.
Toshiro Mifune was in it.
Yeah,
John
sure,
Rhys
dude.
Davies.
All of the biggest actors of the day, like Toshiro Mifune was in it. John Rhys Davies was in it. Who played Yabu? He was someone else, but he was someone famous too. But like, pretty much, if he was a famous Japanese or or English actor, they were in that series. It was great. And I would heavily recommend that you guys watch that series because it is very realistic to feudal Japanese culture and gives you kind of a window into the interface between Western and Japanese cultures.
And relations at the time, because that's when they started opening up to the West.
Yeah.
Big time.
But I mean, this record, holy shit. Can you say enough good things about it? I mean, just the title track has become an icon.
Absolutely.
And yet, I think it's actually not one of the better songs on this record. I like Live to Win, and The Chase is better than The Catch. Far better than the title track.
Absolutely. That's my favorite song on the record.
Which, The Chase is better than The Catch?
Yes.
Dude, that bass line is just fucking infectious.
Dun,
dun. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's fucking epic.
Dude, it's just...
It's so sleazy, too. I love it.
It's literally just so... And it's so unique because of how overamped Motorhead's bass is.
I love the song so much, I made a music video of it with one of the Playboy Plus models.
Oh,
no nudity, but
please
it has
share
it's such a great song to strip to.
Dude, please share.
Oh, okay. I'll pop it in the chat.
We'll put it up on here.
All right. Let me get going. Hold on.
Because, man, that is just like, oh, you have no idea the cultural prevalence this shit still has.
I'm getting it right now.
And Herbs is getting his nicotine hit in.
Popped it in the chat so for everybody can see it.
Roger that. I don't see it. There it is. So you re-edited this.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
It's 18 and older, so just I don't know if you can share it.
Well, I mean, that should be a warning for this channel in general. Hang on. Let's see if I can copy the text. I can't. That's unfortunate. Dude, send it in the private chat. And
you got it.
Let's see if I can link it. Because that sounds awesome.
It's like I was thinking to myself, there's so many good songs to strip to that are rock and roll songs that nobody ever brings up. And what happens is you get like hip hop or club disc DJs coming up with like these generic techno tracks that aren't okay. But I'm like, bro,
well, I mean,
how to find a song that is a Motorhead song and that you can strip to. And then I was just like, Chase is better than The Catch. Yeah, I mean, lyrically it fits.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the stripper other than a tease? The chase is better than the catch.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. And Christian actually puts up a good question. I do hear a lot of Cream in their bass line. So I think that Lemmy actually studied a lot of Jack Bruce. Because they were contemporaries. I mean, let's face it, he was Lemmy's roadie. Or he was Jimi Hendrix's roadie. So I feel like he was you know, internalizing all of the shit that was going on with the heavier rock and roll guys during that era. And then he brought it through into Hawkwind and also Motorhead.
I don't know enough about Cream to give you any good answer, so I'll have to I'll have to leave it up to the expert.
I do. I mean, like, I can certainly see why you'd think that. But I can absolutely see why guys like Lemmy would build off of that. And hang on, we have Sentinel's video here. Let me just share it because I'm an idiot. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
And let's put.
You know I'm bad, times I've had. I got a bad reputation. I don't care how I get myself. Don't build no declaration. I don't. The more I get.
Sorry, that's all you get.
Yeah.
It gets a
Because
little
I don't want to
spicy,
get
it looks
because
like.
I don't want to get struck.
Yeah. Good idea.
I don't want to get struck again.
Yeah.
That was more than enough to give the audience an idea of what they're in store for. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and you know that bass line in itself, if that doesn't drive you to go listen to this record, I don't know what will.
I know.
Like, that is just, ooh,
And pretty women are always a plus.
exactly.
Indeed. Lemmy would be proud.
Lemmy would be proud.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, and this entire record is just like, you know, you start to get a feeling for sorry, I'm just trying to deal with something on the side here. Hope you guys can't hear those notifications.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. But no, man, like, Motorhead is the band that is the neutral ground between the metalheads and the punks. And you guys, having heard all four records, can kind of hear it. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are punk and they're also not. Like, their first album is much more punk than the others are. But the other three are much more just straight up rock and roll.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're just played fast, loud, and out of control, which is what Motorhead was always designed to do.
Did Lemmy think that this was kind of a placeholder band? That he would.
I don't think so. I think he always wanted it to be this way. And later, Fizz.
Catch you later, Fizz.
I hope you listen to all these records, and I hope you like them just as much as we do,
Oh yeah.
because that's why we do the show,
Yeah.
is to get people who haven't listened to these guys before into it.
Mhm.
Soul assessment research purposes, of course.
Thank you.
We see you. We know what you're doing with it. But no, Motorhead is one of those bands that, like, you cannot say enough how influential they were on stuff that came later.
They are rock and roll.
They
Yeah.
are rock and roll.
Yeah.
In fact, like, that was their entire signature.
I mean, you got a blues singer. You got a blues singer who plays distorted bass like a guitar, who writes,
He plays a bass like a rhythm guitar.
who writes catchy songs in both punk, rock, hard rock, metal,
And speed
and
metal.
blues, and speed metal too, and blues.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the full spectrum of rock and roll from the beginning with the blues to the very end with heavy metal.
To at this point, its end point, even though it would evolve further from there, going into black and thrash metal.
Yeah. You know what? You guys
there's a
watch
lot-
football, right?
Every now and again.
Do you
I've
know
been
what a
to-
coaching tree is?
Yep.
No.
Okay, so for those who don't know, a coaching tree is you take a coach and he has all the different coaches who coached under him. They have their own coaching tree, and they and so on and so forth. So if you go to Motorhead and look at kind of the bands that came out as a result of Motorhead, they probably have the largest quote unquote metal tree out of any of the bands. Maybe Sabbath has more. I'll say that.
Well, I mean, we're going to get into them eventually. We have a episode planned for all of Black Sabbath on Nick
Not just the
Weiser's
Aussie
channel.
era?
No, all of it.
Yes.
From the end to the beginning, in that order.
Yes.
We're going to go
Okay.
from the end to the beginning, and we are going to be I think it's going to be me, Nick Weiser, Imperatus, 70s rock fan, and you guys are more than welcome to join the conversation,
Excellent. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That
because
sounds
this is going to be like a 14-hour stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to do it because of when it's going down. But we've been planning this for a while. And, I'll leave Nick to talk about the details. It's going to be on his channel. But holy shit, is it going to be great.
Right on.
You're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have me, Imperatus, freaking 70s rock fan,
Yeah, you need everybody. You need everybody. for that, because,
Nick
again,
Weiser,
Sabbath-
and you guys are going to be more than welcome to talk about your favorite era of Sabbath as well. Man, it's just going to be a fucking amazing show. We're basically going to be doing EFAB, but with Black Sabbath.
that should be its own new genre.
Dude,
Stopping heavy metal bands.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I would love to be a part of that genre. I don't necessarily want to do it on this show because I think people, kind of lose me. Because, you guys see where I'm coming from as an old school heavy metal fan.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like, these guys, even though they never actually claimed the title are heavy metal.
Mm.
Black Sabbath are still technically a blues rock band.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Judas Priest are actually the first ones to have ever claimed the mantle of heavy metal.
Mhm.
Mm.
And even their early stuff, I wouldn't call.
It's not metal.
Their first album isn't. Their second album,
Oh,
I
yeah,
say,
yes.
has some stuff like Sad Wings of Destiny.
Yes, Sad Wings of Destiny, absolutely. Yep.
Like songs like Dream Deceiver and
The Ripper.
The Ripper is actually on British Steel.
No, The
Mm.
Ripper is on Sad Wings of Destiny.
Is it?
Check it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I would say that that is a very interesting song for them. Victim of Changes is the
Oh,
one
I
I
love
was
that
going
too.
for.
Wait a
Mm.
minute. Wait a minute. Yes, Victim of Changes is on that album. I get Victim of Changes and Beyond the Realms of Death confused all the time.
Both of them are fucking epics.
Yes, absolutely.
And Jesus Christ, Judas Priest is the greatest rock band to have ever formed.
Yes, they are.
Like we are not. I mean, Herbs might disagree, maybe.
You can throw
Noah?
a dart at any era of Judas Priest, and it'll satisfy some fan of rock music.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
The full heavy metal, metallic. I need full on bass, double bass, Painkiller.
Mm.
More bluesy, progressive, Sin After Sin. More just straight ahead, catchy radio anthem rock and roll, British Steel.
Screaming for
Or
vengeance.
Screaming for Vengeance, yeah.
Mm.
Like, I mean, there's a reason it's my choice for the greatest heavy metal album to have ever been recorded.
Mm.
And I mean, your profile picture is the album cover.
Mhm.
So, I
Mm.
mean, Defenders of the Faith too.
Just to let you know, speaking of Judas Priest, Megadeth has just covered Delivering the Goods.
Ooh,
Okay.
I've been trying to find
Yes.
out when it's coming out and where it is, and apparently it's an Amazon exclusive track. So you got to get your Amazon Music thing situated.
That's an interesting choice, but
No, I can totally hear it.
Same, especially with Mustang's voice.
mm.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Rob, they have an uphill battle of doing Judas Priest in their prime, and they're trying to cover it.
Right.
I think they're got an uphill battle there, but you know, there have been bands that have covered Judas Priest in the past, Motorhead included, and done really well with it. Motorhead's cover of Breaking the Law.
Okay. I had no idea they did cover Breaking the Law.
Yeah, this is on Undercover.
Okay.
I mean, this is a much later record, and folks in the chat will get to this one eventually. But this is, to me, like the reason, like this era is the reason people love Motorhead.
Mm.
And especially Herbs, like this was your first real experience with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about that for a little minute of what was it like hearing that for the first time?
So this, I mean, when we went over, what was it called? Striper, and you were talking a little bit about how like there's some similarities, like they took a lot of inspiration from Priest. It was like, okay, maybe I'll hear a bit of that, but then it was a totally different thing. It was like Judas Priest, they're the guys who set the bar for it, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And yeah, going into it, it was, I'll say like traditional heavy metal hasn't always been the thing that I've leaned into as like the style of music that I'll listen to, but like hands down, like it was a great experience listening to Screaming for Vengeance specifically. And yeah, it's a great album, absolutely. And then listening to that, and it was like, okay, I know,
And now you see why we say it is the greatest heavy metal album ever recorded.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I mean, even if you don't agree, like you can hear why we think that.
it's a great fucking album, dude. It really is. And
There's very
listening
little
to it,
slack on all of it.
yeah, yeah, listening to it, I'm like, where do I go from here? Because I kind of just want to listen to this one. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I mean, the first time I heard Screaming for Vengeance, I put it on repeat for like a week.
mm, yep, I can totally relate. There's albums I've done that with too. But yeah,
And it was just like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
mm,
Why are more people not talking about this? And then you hear, like, Motorhead.
mm-hmm,
You're like,
yep,
oh, it goes deeper.
yeah,
It goes
yeah.
earlier.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, it's a great fucking album for sure. One of the things that was like I've always been a bit turned off with like the higher pitched vocals in any kind of singing or any kind of band, but listening to this was like he does it. He does it so well. It is like I can see like why other bands would try to copy it,
And he doesn't
and
go high.
it's
He doesn't. I
it's
mean,
not really
he's not a good singer, and he doesn't try to be.
Yeah, and I can see that too. Like I can see why some people were like kind of meh on it, but at the same time, I'm like, well, but this is still really fucking good too.
Yeah, like that's the
Uh,
thing is everything around him just fits his vocal style so well that just like I'm always talking about, the vocals become another part of the band.
Mm-hmm.
It's another instrument.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It I can say for sure, like it's definitely turned me on more to the traditional heavy metal, and I just like I said, it's like it's hard to know like which albums to go to next because I want kind of like more of
Well, this
that
is what
sound.
we're here for.
Yeah, yeah,
And hopefully a lot of our viewers are taking the same journey you are,
mm,
where you've never heard a lot of the original stuff.
mm,
Whereas we, like me and Sentinel, are experts in the old school heavy metal style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would love to actually, you know what? Maybe the next episode we're gonna do, if it doesn't interfere with, our next guest, who I'm not going to spoil right now, but you guys both know who it is. Maybe we'll do Racer X.
mm.
I've never heard their music. I know of them.
Sam.
These guys are straight up speed metal.
Mm.
Cool.
Right on, right on.
And a member of their band, Scott Travis, actually becomes the drummer for Judas Priest later in his life.
That's right.
Okay.
I know Paul Gilbert is in this band too.
Yes, he is. He's the lead
Amazing
guitarist.
guitar player.
He's the lead guitar player.
Yeah, yeah, he's phenomenal. And like watching videos of him play, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, what?
Oh no, I think you guys are gonna fucking love it because we're combining Scott Travis and fucking Paul Gilbert at the top of their game, and this is pre-Painkiller Scott Travis too.
Okay, okay.
So we might even hear some. I might even hear some stuff that she didn't even bring into Priest.
Well, I mean, this is before like things like Street Lethal and stuff like that were before he came into Priest.
Yeah.
You know, I just gotta bite the bullet and buy the album. Fuck it.
Oh, I would absolutely recommend it, and I would absolutely recommend to all of you as well. Racer X is one of those bands, whether it be Street Lethal or Technical Difficulties or whatever, like just spin this shit and just see how it grabs you. Because, ooh, they have some guitar players for fucking days, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it with Paul Gilbert. Whew.
I've got an idea for streams too. I just don't want to run it by you.
Of course.
We pick a year, and then we talk about your favorite album that was released that year.
Oh,
So if you were to
that's
say,
going to be great.
so if you were to say 1980 was the year, all three of us or whoever many come in with our favorite album and just discuss it, or discuss the year and what was
Okay.
released.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, Nick Weiser's already done a couple of streams like
Oh,
that.
he has? Okay.
Yeah, where we've done Bonded by Metal
Okay.
and done all the albums that came out in a specific year. And there's a really, really cool diversity in the types of albums that have come out in that year, especially towards the late 80s.
Yes, it gets more eclectic, I would say, more
Like you
diverse.
have everything from hair and speed metal to, thrash, death, black metal. I would love to do that.
That would be a fun stream.
Yeah, of just pick a year and just all get together and see what comes out of it.
Where you pick your favorite album of every. Let's say it's a combo of you bring your favorite album to talk about it, and then you also talk about the year itself and what happened in heavy metal that year.
Well, that'll be interesting for a lot of us because a lot of us weren't alive
Exactly.
Yeah.
when these guys. I mean, like me, I was born in 87. So this is a lot of stuff that happened before I was born. But I love talking about it because this is the music that really speaks to me. And oh man, like you can't underestimate bands like Motorhead or Judas Priest or Black Sabbath
Yeah.
in these kind of calculations. Like this is
Actually, you just mentioned three bands, and I was just thinking of the year. And you throw a dart, and if you throw a dart and hit 1980, you got all three of those bands released classic all-time great albums in that year.
I
Heaven
would
and Hell,
actually say I would
Ace
say
of
that
Spades, and
Priest
British
is the
Steel.
exception to that.
Oh, who?
I am not a huge British Steel fan.
Oh man, come on.
They're not. It's not
it's
even in
not-
my top 10 Priest albums.
Is it the production or the song?
It's really the fact that when it hits, it's great, but when it doesn't, it's terrible.
Mm.
Oh man,
Songs like United,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
things
is
like that. It's just like, all right, like. Don't get me wrong, it has its high points.
It's United is better than a lot of the ballads that they've done before and after.
It is, but I will say that I like Point of Entry better.
All right. Point of Entry's good too.
Thunder Road itself, I think, is better than most of British Steel.
Blasphemy.
I mean, you're free to argue that because
I can't argue if you like it, you like it. I mean,
I really do. But if you don't, then that's
yeah. I can't argue with somebody who likes something or doesn't like something. I can only argue the merits of why I like why I think one is deserving of it more than the other. So with British Steel, you've got the opening track of oh my god, I cannot believe I cannot remember this. Rapid Fire. You got Rapid Fire,
which is a great track.
Which is a great fucking track. It's a speedy, thrashy track. I don't give a what anybody says. It's a borderline proto thrash song. in my opinion.
Mm.
It kind of is.
And
Yeah.
then you go into Metal Gods, which is like a slow, catchy, anthem, heavy kind of song. And then you got Breaking the Law, which is more of a streamlined.
It's
song.
funny that the third of those would become the most famous track that Judas Priest has ever recorded. And it was a lot more industrial than than anything they'd done to that point.
Breaking the Law or Metal Gods?
Breaking the Law.
Breaking the Law, you think it's industrial?
Well, I mean, it does have a lot of industrial elements behind it. And I got into this argument with a guy who, does a podcast on industrial metal. And I would say that British Steel is the first industrial metal album. Because they included the sounds.
Ever thought of it like that.
Well, they included the sounds from British Steel, like the company, while they were recording the album. Like that pounding when you're talking about Rapid Fire.
It's in Metal Gods too.
Well, it's also that pounding is the pounding of the steam hammers from British Steel.
Right.
I had no idea. Maybe I need to rewatch the classic album series, but British Steel, the album, was featured in the classic album series. And I know that they had whips that they were using for sound effects. And they had
but they were also they also went home to Birmingham. In England.
Is that you're talking about the little interlude from the end of Rapid Fire into Metal Gods.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That pounding is actually the pounding of real steam hammers.
And that kind of use of elements is very present in industrial, you're saying.
Well, and I think it's present in all of heavy metal. When you look at it, like that pounding rhythm.
Yeah, we got the pounding rhythm, but the idea of sampling, recording something organically and then inserting it as an effect in the song is very industrial.
Well, I think subconsciously a lot of metal bands from the 70s had just adopted that pounding rhythm into their music, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah,
because a lot of them came from Birmingham, and I think a lot of that had to do with Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, where some of their members were actually working at British Steel at the time. So they weren't just, living in the area that these steel foundries were in. Some of their members actually worked for the steel foundry. In fact, that was what would cost Tony Iommi his fingers.
Right. Okay.
He lost his 2 fingers on his last day of work in a stamping press.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking just more of how the British Steel Company sonically is inserted into the music, because I don't hear a lot of pounding, driving.
Really? You don't hear it?
In Black Sabbath, I don't hear it. I hear it in Priest. I don't hear it as much in Sabbath.
Okay,
Sabbath
I can hear that. Well, I mean, Black Sabbath is a lot more bluesy than Priest is.
And that, for you, that kind of explains the lack of kind of that steel mill sort of thing.
And yet, with Priest, it persists.
Yes, it does, actually. It does.
Even in the more bluesy stuff they have, like, Victim of Changes, you still have that pounding in the background.
And
Exactly. It's that rhythm.
yes.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not, that actually defines heavy metal as a genre.
That pounding. Yep.
Yep. Or even if you're looking at the bass line of Black Sabbath with dun 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 dun. That is classic heavy metal at this point.
Oh, the song Black Sabbath? The bass line
No,
in the song Black Sabbath?
the best place you can hear it is actually Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that
Yep.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
That is classic Geezer Butler, who grew up in Birmingham.
Mhm.
They grew up in the same situation that the rest of Black Sabbath did.
Yeah.
And I will say one of my favorite Sabbath riffs of all time has to be Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You guys are free to disagree with me on that because, like, they've done so many great things.
Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is probably the that and some of the later ones. I don't go back and re-listen to as much as I re-listen to like Sabotage and Paranoid. And
Okay.
the first
Yeah.
album.
Well, Paranoid is one of the first albums they ever released.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same. Like for me, it's the first couple, like Paranoid, Master
All
of
right,
Reality.
so
Master
Black
of
Sabbath,
Reality.
Paranoid, and
Yeah.
Master of Reality.
Those are the
NIB.
ones I go to.
NIB that kind of has
NIB
that.
is off of
Master of Reality.
no, that is off of Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
It is?
That's the first record. Yeah.
Why the fuck can I remember this?
Hey man, it happens to me all the time. Like
Jesus.
I get song titles mixed up, like which album it was on. That's probably because of too much smoking. But hey, it is what it is.
Smoking causes
It is.
temporary memory loss.
Temporary.
I should not forget something I learned when I was like 10.
Right.
You know, it was, fuck this getting old shit.
Oh my god, I agree 100%. Back is broken, joints achy and creaky.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah. I for me, yeah, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That's one I need to go and listen to more because yeah, it's definitely the like first few albums I'll go back and re-listen to and like.
Well,
the
that's
songs are
I
gonna
mean that's the
suppose-
fifth album.
The fifth, okay. That
I think the first one you're talking about is Black Sabbath itself,
okay
Yeah.
and then Paranoid is the second one.
is
And then
yeah
Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage, Never Say Die. Then that's the Ozzy era, pretty much. Until
Yep.
the return.
And then you have the absolute genius that is the Dio era,
Mhm.
being, let's face it, the first song you ever heard as a Sabbath fan coming into the new era is Neon Nights. Jesus Christ. like, it's hard to argue with that song.
And that still kind of has the bluesy sort of feel to it, but
It does.
Dio is not a blues singer. In my opinion. Is he a blues singer?
I mean, he is and he isn't.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. He is and he isn't. There's some shards of it at times. But you won't notice it as much as like you notice it with Ozzy. Because Ozzy's a full-blown blues singer.
Yeah, he is. Well, that's really what Ozzy is at the end of the day, is a full-on blues singer.
yeah.
He's not a rock guy at all. And I think you see it in his solo career as well is that a lot of it, we actually have a guest to talk about Motorhead with us.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And it's someone who's actually met Lemmy in person.
Oh shit.
Or no, apparently she hasn't. But she has been in punk bands her entire life. And she's a great person. Please welcome, it's Courtney.
Hi guys, I look like a hot mess.
Hey,
You look fine. What are you talking about?
It's
It's
okay.
really
you look a lot prettier than the rest of us. Let's
Oh
put it
my
that
god,
way.
yeah.
it's like 90 degrees outside, and I tried to like my hair is all sweaty, whatever. It doesn't
I mean, you're competing with me in terms of being on camera, so that's not a high bar to clear.
matter. Miraculously, I don't think I got sunburned. Oh, maybe a little bit, but oh yeah, maybe.
But no, I mean, we've been talking about Motorhead for the last 2 hours, and also heavy metal, just in general. And can you mention a bigger band for the
No.
genre than Motorhead?
No, Motorhead is like, I mean, Lemmy's God. Come on, that's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Mhm.
He is the.
I didn't get to meet him, by the way. I just know that because I had a friend who worked at the Rainbow Room, I guess it was.
Yeah,
and
I did meet him once, very
He used,
briefly.
apparently he used to sit at the touch machine at the end of the bar.
Yeah,
That was his
that's
spot or
how I
something.
met him. Is like, I just saw him at the end of the bar and just bought him a drink, and he was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "Hey, I'm a big fan."
I'm very jealous of that.
I am too, and I would have been
And-
a goofball, and I would have like probably flirted.
I
and
didn't.
went
I
up
didn't
and been
know.
like,
I didn't
love
know what
you."
to say. I didn't know what to say.
Oh man, yeah. What do you say?
I mean, I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan. Like, Motorhead changed my life." And he was just like, "Hey, thanks for saying that, man." And
cool.
then we just went
I've
our
heard.
separate ways.
He's very cool, from what I've heard.
No, he is. And like, looking at it from his point of view, like, I would be really annoyed if I'm just there to just, play my little slot games and stuff like that, and everyone always comes up and starts saying, exactly what I said.
I don't think, you know what? He seems like in his older years, especially when he had his like little spot there, and he was just chilling. I think he appreciated it.
I bet he did. But
he was pretty like some of the things that like in interviews and stuff that he said, he's a very like for
He's a very
somebody that
humble
gets
guy.
on stage, for somebody that gets on stage and like has that presence of like, "Rawr," you know what I mean? And he's super chill from what I've heard. And like
no,
I
I mean, and that's what the vibe I got from him. But like, I was bothering him.
no, you weren't. I bet you weren't.
Oh,
I bet
but
inside
I
he's
came,
like,
I came up to him. He doesn't know who the hell I am, and I'm like, "Hey, man, like, your
that
music
comes
changed
with
my
the
life."
territory. He's got to be. He had to be.
But I was bothering him at that point.
I don't know.
So I'm just like, "Hey, man, like,
If
your
I went up to
music
him, I
changed my
wouldn't look at it
life."
as bothering him. I'd probably say, "Hi, I'm bugging you, but I'm sorry. I love you, and I can't not say hi to you." That would be me.
but like, it doesn't sound as weird when a woman says it.
Yeah, I
You
don't
get
want.
away.
I wouldn't. If I was him, I wouldn't want a bunch of dudes coming up to me, dude. Fuck out of
You
here.
know, the
Thanks.
people that
Bye.
the people I know that have met him and like that are in bands, that are not as big as Motorhead or whatever, but they've said he's just super, super cool.
He is just the nicest guy of all time. In fact, a band I'm going to go see in September, Airborne.
I've heard of Airborne. I don't know much Airborne, but
I would compare them to AC/DC.
okay. I've seen AC/DC.
And in fact, Lemmy is actually in a couple of their videos.
Nice.
So I've never seen them live before, but I have listened to most of their records. And they're a good hard rock band.
Cool. Are they like, how long have they been around?
Probably about 15 years now.
Yeah,
To me, that's yesterday. So I'm like, I feel
at
like I
least
lost
since
15 years
05.
living in Colorado.
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
was
their first
18.
album did come out in 2007, I think.
That's the year I moved to Colorado and became in the middle of nowhere,
Well, I mean,
not
I
knowing
don't know.
anything for a while. But
But, Airborne, I will literally say, is a great band. Like, they're a good successor to Motorhead and AC/DC.
those are big acts to compare to.
Yeah, and you know what? The bands themselves have given their blessing to the band.
Nice.
In fact, I think they have Motorhead's bomber rig,
Ooh,
like the light rig.
very cool.
Like they are actually using Motorhead's rig, light rig, because they just asked, and Lemmy was like, "Yeah, let them have it."
Motorhead is just so cool in every way. I mean, they were on the young ones. Like that made me like that show. Are you guys?
They were never that band to take themselves too seriously.
No, that's why I love it. Like they're just. It's
Even
like
when they were one of the most influential bands of their generation, they never took themselves seriously.
it's. I can relate to that because when I play, like I used to suffer from like severe stage fright as like a little kid because I was performing my whole life, but classically trained and stuff like that. But when I started actually playing music that I liked, I just had to like kind of say fuck it. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. F it. Uh,
Trust me, we are allowed to curse here. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be on here.
like the one the Halloween Fang show that I played with them, the guitarist who I happened to be dating at the time. So I was like wanting to kill him, but I kept it light at the same time. His amp blew up in the middle of like the biggest like show for us. And we just kind of had fun and played without him. And our buddy Chubbs jumped up and grabbed his guitar and filled in. And you just gotta kind of be like that.
Well, I
So
mean that's the kind of cool shit with rock and roll is, sometimes, like you say, your amp blows up, and you just need somebody to cover for you.
or you need someone to come fix it or something, or give you
Yeah.
another amp really quick, or give you their
For
for
those of you who are used to dealing with solid state amps, I actually have an older tube type amp, and yeah, it blows up all the time.
yeah. I had a
And you
Fender
just need a replacement.
M80.
You need a replacement tube.
Mine set on fire by accident.
Mine, I think I was over driving the shit out of it, and that's why it blew up. But
Well, I feel rude.
this is what happens when you play punk or metal is you overdrive the shit out of your amp, and it blows up every now and again.
My amp made it through a lot because like in high school I played jazz bass also, like in the jazz band, so that was a lot more kind of chill. But I
Okay.
feel really rude because I didn't say well hi to you, Pope, obviously.
Well, no,
Sergeant Spiceback,
never.
it looks like, and the Sentinel. Hello.
We
And
have
also
we have Sergeant
chat.
Herbs, we have the Sentinel, my usual two partners in crime, and then we have my show, which don't ever apologize to me. I am the person that is least offended out of anyone in the world. But no, I would love to hear your experience with the first 4 Motorhead albums.
I'm trying to think of I didn't even hear Motorhead till probably I was into like a lot of like UK punk and like stuff like that first. And
Well,
Motorhead was around obviously, but
I mean that they kind of dovetail really well.
they do.
That, like things like the Sex Pistols and the Clash dovetail very well into Motorhead.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what this avatar is.
Hey man, we're just along for the ride.
Well, I was just blowing my nose, so I am sorry. I don't want to do it in front of everybody. So I don't think I was actually. This is going to sound really weird, but the first exposure I had to Motorhead was from the young ones watching that show.
Right. Sure. Okay.
And
So that was your first
that really was. And I remember like
introduction to Motorhead.
I always hung out with like I was like the rugrat they used to call me because I always hung out with older, like most of my friends who were like who I was basically my crew, I guess I should say back in the day. They're all like 52, 53 now. I'll be 45 next year. So, you know, I'm significantly younger. But they I remember them just being like, "You don't know Motorhead?" And they were showing me like turning me on to the young ones because you know Vivian the
Well, I
Fox or
mean,
whatever.
I'm 10 years younger than you are. And I'm saying that we do the same thing with our friends. Like, wait, you don't know Motorhead? Like,
I know.
start them on these 4 albums.
See, and I didn't go that route, which is kind of weird. Now, obviously, I have love for all of these albums. I have love for later stuff, like Lemmy collaborated with a lot of, like I think he collaborated with like the Damned and like,
Yep. I mean,
um,
later Motorhead has some great stuff.
that's
But we're
but
gonna
we're
do
sticking
that
to the first four. Okay,
we're gonna do that in another stream
okay, because I was
in
going to say
itself.
that kind of a lot of that stuff, um, sucked me into it, and then I was a huge Plasmatics fan, and I heard the duet with Lemmy and Wendy O. Williams, "Stand by Your Man,"
Yep.
and I just like was like, okay,
It wasn't a great track, but damn did they try.
it was like perfect though, because they were both.
Like it wasn't I mean, musically it wasn't a great track, but
I
they
mean,
tried. They
she
really,
never
really
had a
tried.
great, really. I mean, she had that voice, you know, regardless. So singing a song that wasn't screaming, you know, but I just love the fact that they were doing that song. But anyway, yeah. So, Bomber, you know, for me, and Overkill actually like inspired the band Overkill.
Well, yeah.
Those are quintessential. Now we're not
And
going
we
into,
are gonna talk about the band Overkill in
and I
time.
actually don't know a lot about that band.
I
Isn't that
love
funny?
that. I mean, the more I listen to them, I'm actually not an expert on that band, but Imperatus and Nick actually got me into Demolition Hammer, and then got me into the older thrash bands. So Overkill is one of them, and I really, really enjoy what I hear so far.
I apologize. I'm just sharing the link to somebody that wants it.
Bands like or songs like Green Mean Killing Machine and Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Oh, sorry. Let me turn that. I didn't need to do that. So I do have to apologize because I ate some of my special what's legal in Colorado stuff. So
we won't mention that on YouTube.
And this is kind of like last minute. I'm like trying to like put my years together with everything. I really am right now. I will say that I believe I saw them. Okay, I saw them in Washington D.C. at I think it was called the Nation or like I thought it was the 930 Club, but it wasn't, or maybe it was. Like, it doesn't matter. I saw them in like 1998 or something in D.C.
Okay.
And then I saw them I got to see them in Worcester,
Massachusetts.
Yeah, at the Palladium, and I can't remember who they played with there. And then
I love that we actually know that same venue. I've been to that venue. I don't know how many times.
Place was awesome. And then they had
it's such a great place to have metal bands.
They've had a lot of good bands. I saw like the Dickies there. I've seen so many bands there.
I've seen Sabaton there twice.
Nice.
And I've seen the day before I saw Sabaton for the first time, I saw Testament there.
Ooh, that would have been fun.
They were both times they were great.
And I'm trying to remember if that was if the Palladium was the place that had the like connecting place, and there was like a cowboy bar. Like,
I don't
was
think
that
so.
another spot? And that might have been another Worcester spot that Worcester, Worcester, that did punk shows.
Or they might have, done up the upstairs bar in
It was
Cowboy
like a little
Regalia.
hallway that you went down. It wasn't the actual Palladium. It was like downstairs and
Okay.
around the corner. But I don't know if it was the Palladium. I could be wrong. And then in 2005, I'll never forget, because they were supposed to play upstairs, which is like amazing. The balcony bar at the Trocadero in Philadelphia. That's like the tiniest thing ever. And they were going to play with Nashville Pussy.
Same thing with with the Palladium in Worcester. Like, if you've ever been
Yeah, but
upstairs to the bar, like
upstairs.
if you're playing at the bar,
I've never seen anyone play at the bar up there. Actually,
I don't know that I have either, but like
I've
it
been
would
up
be
at the bar
amazing.
looking down.
It would be amazing because you're really right there.
Yeah, and that's how so the Trocadero, which is no longer there, the Troc, in Philly, was kind of like a theater. It was like an old burlesque club, I think, or something back in the day.
It
And
was.
so the main part was like the main area was like stage, floor, little area, and then balcony. But then you went through another door on the outside to go upstairs to the balcony bar, and I saw like Fear play there, DRI, like all these like cool bands, and then Motorhead was going to play there, and I was so stoked because it's like the size of like, I mean, like it's not big at all. I mean, like, it's the size of the club that I used to book at.
Yeah,
a couple hundred.
It's a tiny little fucking club, and that's where Motorhead played for most of their life.
I had seen them at bigger venues, and then this show was going to be amazing. It was going to be Zeke, and then Nashville Pussy was going to play on which I don't know if you guys know that band, but they were awesome, man. I think. And they were supposed to
I'm
open up.
familiar with them.
Yeah, they had the female bass player, Corey. Yeah,
Yep.
And she ended up marrying Dwayne Peters, the skateboarder, and they became Dwayne Peters and the Huns, I believe. Anyway,
sucked a lot more than the original band used to.
And Dwayne Peters' original band, US Bombs, but we're not talking about that. But anyway, that show got canceled. Everyone was so stoked for that show, and I remember standing out front of the Troc because they kept saying it might still happen, and I don't remember. I think someone from Motorhead might have, or maybe no, I remember what happened. I think someone from Motorhead was injured, not Lemmy. And
it was probably one of the guitar, either Phil Campbell or Mickey D.
Yeah, I just remember standing out front like they're not playing, but Zeke still played, and then Nashville Pussy never showed up either. So it was like a Zeke show basically, but they're cool too. So
now, what was your experience when you first heard Motorhead's original album?
I could just automatically think of every band that I already loved and hear like how they were influenced by them. That was like my first thought. I was like, this is like the OG, like
everybody was taking stuff from Motorhead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and I was like, these guys are
awesome. And I know you're a bass player.
Mm-hmm. And he was bass and singer, and like that's.
I'm a guitar nerd, but that initial bass riff with Motorhead, especially, it's just fucking infectious.
He plays the bass like a guitar anyway, like a lot of the times.
Well, yeah, he does. Like, he plays the bass like a rhythm guitar.
Yeah, he's just, and then like the way he looked also when I knew how he looked before, but seeing him like when I saw him live and stuff, I was like, he's just amazing. And I was like, I know this guy's old because I had read his I hadn't read his book wasn't out yet, but I read something about it, how he was like in garage bands and stuff, like back in the 60s. And I was like, this dude's older than I think, and like he's just still in it. So yeah, their music is
he's the heart of Motorhead.
Yep. And his son is pretty cool now too.
Probably the most universal metal band of all time.
And metal punk,
Well, like we said with the other day with Gary, is that these guys were kind of the neutral ground.
Yes, they were
Where,
metal. They were
where
everyone loved
metalheads and punks would both get together and just vibe to fucking Motorhead.
it. And it almost became like when I lived in Boston, there were a lot of kind of like metal punk that look. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like that was becoming like.
that's about when I was born. Is 87.
Okay, I was gonna say I moved to Boston in '96. Don't tell me you were born in.
But I remember Boston being like that.
It was Boston was a
As a
lot different
kid.
back then. Yeah, it was a lot different. You had God, you just had good venues.
But dude, like I brought up the other day, Dropkick Murphys.
Well, you know my connection with them. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
they're
but
my age, so I
they're
was
a
there when
great
they were just
fucking band.
starting.
It's like not even are they the same age? They're a great fucking band.
And they deserved how fast they blew up.
Yeah, no,
Like,
they did. I think some of their later stuff is a little questionable.
I don't really. So after Steph went in for a little. She was the female singer that would fill in on some of the songs, and she's in a couple other videos and stuff. She's a good friend of mine, also. She just had a baby, actually. Steph, if you ever see this, congratulations. Anyway,
Well, she just had a baby.
she just had a baby. Yeah, like
Well,
older. Too.
congratulations.
Yeah, another one of my girlfriends just had a baby at age. She was 41, and and healthy.
Congratulations to them.
So after like Steph wasn't really like performing with them, I didn't really go to their shows. They like even when I lived in Colorado, they played in Denver a bunch, and I didn't feel like this is so mean, but I didn't feel like driving to Denver to go to the shows. So like I would just I would get passes for people in town here. There were
Actually, the first time
few.
I saw Dropkick Murphys was actually I told the story on 70s channel on Monday or last Monday, but it was actually a free show, and all you had to do was just read their forum and go there. There being Killington.
Oh.
Killington Mountain in Vermont.
Yeah, I skied there.
Yeah, and they were just. I think there's probably 400 of us.
That's awesome.
They just played an impromptu concert there. A free
That's
show.
awesome for someone like, especially after they got so large, because.
And this is in the early 2000s before they got that big.
They blew up pretty fast because I remember their first show at the Rat. I told you they played with my ex's band who were called Disorderly Conduct, and the Rat cellar was tiny. It was downstairs at the Rat. I mean, it doesn't hold many people at all. And
yeah, I've been to.
So from being kind of like heckled, on stage there, and nobody knowing who they were, and then that was like I think the beginning of like I was in college, so the beginning of the school year, so maybe like September, October-ish or something. And then the following summer, I went to holidays.
Went to Berkeley, right?
Yeah, I went to Berkeley. And then the following summer, my boyfriend and I went to, we had gone a couple years, but Holidays in the Sun, which is a 3-day punk festival in England. And we didn't even know Dropkicks were playing or anything. I think it was the second one we had gone to. And all of a sudden we were like, wait, that's like Skinhead on the MTA, like whatever. So, like, and we were like,
yeah, I mean, like,
and then the whole
honestly,
we were like,
Dropkick did some old school punk stuff, like Skinhead on the MTA.
They were like oi
was
at
just.
First. They were more like punk and oi, kind of like Skinhead, kind of like and then they went all more Irish.
Well, I mean, they were never not Irish.
Well, I know that, but it changed a lot with so when Al Barr started
well,
singing
I'll
for
put it this
way:
being an Irish Bostonian,
a lot of Irish pride up there.
I mean, like that's where they got their reputation.
Yeah, they have the Fenway, the Red Sox song.
Well, yeah, I mean, and yet, their song Tessie, they were actually really terrified to play that song live because dreamed it up. They wrote it in 2003, and we hadn't won the World Series in over 100 years. No, sorry, hadn't won the World Series since 1918.
I remember because I lived at that point when they finally won. I was living at my Kenmore place that was above the rat had burned down. So I was living in the apartments that basically the rooftop looks over Fenway Park. There's like the end of Lansdowne Street. The ones with the green awning on Boylston. Really?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I lived there afterwards. And we used to go up on the roof and watch the games. And we watched the World Series from the roof.
You can, you better than anyone else can see or can chronicle the absolute elation that came out of that place in 2004.
And also, Boston, like Red Sox fans might be almost as bad as like Philadelphia fans. My car got their window smashed, the windshield smashed so many times for having Pennsylvania plates on it, and I was parked right at Fenway. So you have to tweet twice. I feel like
I mean, you're not wrong.
Anyway, I'm sorry. We derailed it somehow from the.
We could do an entire the stream on the debating who's worse, massholes or Philly fans.
Honestly, honestly, I would love
Philly,
to do a stream at some point with you on the Boston punk and metal scene in the 90s.
I would. Well, they're all like, it's funny because I have people that are like your age or younger that are like, oh my God, I love the Casualties. Like, I love the Unseen. Like, I was just talking to Jake from the Casualties. I've known him since he was like 16 years old when he joined the band. And all the kids from, I call them kids, they're my age. All the guys from the Unseen, actually, I just got a message from Mark on Instagram. Like, I still talk to them all. They were my crew. And their band wasn't huge yet. They would just play like they were kids, you know, like.
And if they want to talk about what they, what they went through to get to where they are, like, I would love to have them on.
I will ask. I know that.
Like, I would love to have any band that is willing to, represent their own music.
I could probably get one or two members. I know a couple of them are in different areas now, and like Trip's a dad and a writer and works a lot, and I know Mark would probably do it.
And this isn't just like me trying to be like, oh yeah, I'll get some bands on. Like, I actually listen to these guys' music, and I would love to actually hear what their history is.
Well, it would probably be on my channel if I did it. To be honest,
absolutely.
But you could double stream. I wouldn't have a problem with that. You know, like how people do that, air, phone, whatever. Only because they're my buddies, so I want to be able to.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean,
have a little more control and be able to shoot shit and ask the funny questions. Like they have funny stories. I'm not going to say them right now.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, I'm guessing I'm entertaining at this point because 114 people still watch this show, and I'm not sure why. It's certainly not because I'm pretty.
Well, you have good content.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, I mean,
and you know what you're talking about, and that's important.
Well, I mean, I may look like I know what I'm talking about.
And you know who the experts are, and you bring them on the panel to further enhance the discussion.
Well, that's because I just know the right people to talk to.
Knowing the right people to talk to is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Courtney, you were in that scene at the time.
I kind of had an extra like advantage because I had a booking company.
Yeah.
So, and I was never one of those girls like in the punk scene back in the day. You had the girls were either like slept their way to know the bands, or the girls that really like knew the music. Like I actually used to like purposely study bands and find out about them so that I wouldn't be the girl with like a band painted on my jacket that I couldn't tell you anything about. Like I was really like stubborn like that.
But see, this is why I have you on the show all the time, is because you actually did what I do in terms of studying the bands
Nerd
at
out.
the time.
Yeah. We're a little nerding out, but it's fun.
Oh man, and you know, no one can blame those bands for, you know, taking advantage of the groupies. You just can't.
Oh no. Yeah, but this is like in the punk scene. So like
Yeah.
in the local scene, like other girls my age, like we would call them like crew slugs. You know, because they like just go the crew. And I was more like I don't know, like I had my crew of girls that were not like that. Like I was a serial monogamist, basically. You know, I always had like long-term boyfriends, whatever. But I also had like that older crowd that I was talking about, and they were mostly male, but they were like and most of them were actually more in the hardcore scene.
Okay.
But they like were big brothers to me almost. You know what I mean? They never, I'm not gonna say none of them ever like hit on me once or twice, but like they never went there, you know? They saw me as like a cool kind of like, I thought I was tough. You know?
Or you do what we do is just shoot your shot, and if it doesn't work out, then you just protect her like your little sister.
You know, I used to get in between like
because
guys
that's-
fighting. Like I was an idiot. Like I thought I was tough. I would be like, don't you fight my friend. And like me, what am I gonna do? Usually be like pushed out of the way, or usually one of my friends would come up from behind and like pick me up and hug me and
It's like,
carry me away.
don't be here right now.
It's so funny because I'm so not at like a fighter like that anymore. But you know,
Well, I mean, I try not to be.
when people if I see my friends, like someone's fighting my friend, whether it's the biggest dude in the world, I know they could do it for some reason. I have that thing of like I'm gonna protect or something.
Well, that's my problem is I can't.
I can't.
And
not anymore.
I used to. I used to play hockey
Nice.
as a kid, so I'm used to jumping into my friends' problems.
I like PJ Stock from the Bruins.
But
back in the day.
oh man, I learned so many lessons from old school Bruins like Cam Neely and Ray Bork and Ricky Middleton.
They're my second favorite hockey team, which they shouldn't be because I'm a Flyers fan, and we've had
That
yeah.
damages me right here.
Hey, we beat the Pats. The Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Let's go Bruins!
And we had never won a Super Bowl. It was amazing, so I'm not going there.
But I mean, I will never not love the Bruins.
Mm.
The Bruins are fun to watch. They're also fighters. They're a fighting team like Philly's the
That's where we learned to play hockey from. Is guys like, Cam Neely, Ray Bork, Ricky Middleton. Like I was probably 6 years old and learning from those guys in terms of what the formations meant and where they needed to be and how aggressive you needed to be.
Hockey players were just always hot.
Well, I mean, we were just playing hockey.
Oh, I'm just saying in general, of all the sports, like being a female, hockey players were hot.
I mean, we were playing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like our era, most of us, like the defensemen, like me, were basically singled out as like almost like the war criminals of our fucking era, because everything we did was against what was in the older days was fine. Like, whether it be high sticking somebody or, throwing elbows into somebody, everyone was fine with it. Up until I got into high school.
Mm.
Well, she's my stepsister. But still, I grew up with her, forever. She actually played ice hockey. In this town, in Steamboat, she grew up here. They have a girls' ice hockey team.
Okay.
She played ice hockey since like 5th grade or something. It was pretty cool. She's not like a manly girl in any means, but she was a badass.
Well, I mean, not to insult any girl who plays hockey, but if you're gonna be like us, or play on our level,
it was an all-girls team.
You kind of have to be built like us.
Yeah, no, they had a girls team here, so it was a little different. It's like, well, they could still do pretty much a lot of the same things. It's not as different as like girls and guys lacrosse or something, but
Which I've watched those matches, and holy shit, is it entertaining! Just to, I mean, just to watch the difference between two groups of adult human beings.
oh, playing a sport. Yeah, I played.
Yeah,
lacrosse,
like playing
so
lacrosse, especially, is
I
the
was
men are just
sad.
dunking on them at that point,
Yeah, but see what people don't
and they
realize.
don't even mean to. Like they're actually trying to pull their punches and stuff like that. Like they're actually trying to take it easy on the girls, and they're
Okay,
still that good.
I feel like I derailed everything. I'm really sorry,
No, no,
Sergeant Spice
You're
Left
good.
is
You're good.
looking
You're
like
fine.
he's all
Yeah,
like,
you're fine.
"Ugh."
hey,
And then the Sentinel, you
I
always
derail
remind
these
me.
conversations on
Okay, then that's good. I just
tangents
didn't know
like
if
this
like I
at
didn't want it
least
to be
once a
my
week.
fault.
So
You're good.
it's my channel. So you know what?
Okay,
Fuck
I'm
it,
here for
let's
the
go
ride.
for it.
because I'm ADD and I've got stories like out the ass. You know what I mean? Um, so I will, talk about stuff. But the Sentinel, I
Yes.
always think whenever I hear you talk of there's like the MSNBC where like they have like the drug cartel people where they disguise their voice and they have a mask on.
Yeah,
That's the same voice
Oh my
they're using, and I'm always like, he sounds just like it. It cracks me up.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Thank
It's
you.
just doesn't sound
and
like
yet it's not wrong because I kind of think the same thing. This is why I love having guests on because, like, the rest of us do this shit every week, but you
you get
are,
me talk about music, Jesus, or just
and please
any of
continue
that.
talking about music because that's what I love talking about.
Well, I was starting to say like I got very lucky because my booking. Well, it started as just like a weekly punk night that actually my ex and his buddy had like proposed to the bar owner. It was 218 South Street, a couple.
And
blocks
what
away.
what band were you actually the bassist for?
So I played bass in like little bands that were like nothing, like in a band with the guy is actually the singer guitarist is actually doing pretty well. He's in San Diego now, but he's had a couple bands. But no, like bands that I played that were my own bands were like we had a band with my 8-year-old brother singing called Vinny and the Panty Sniffers.
Oh no!
Like and we would this is back in the day when that like you wouldn't like get arrested for having a band called that.
When this was just punk, and
Yeah.
It was like nobody. Yeah, they were all ages shows, so like it worked out perfectly. And then and also oh my gosh, why did I just draw a blank? The two people from the Teen Idols, I think was the name of the band. Teen Idols. I can't even think of the name of the band right now. They were the other two in the band.
And this is something I want to talk more about on this show directly is punk. Because I think punk has a huge development on thrash and black metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going into the 80s.
And there's so many different like directions that it went to. Before I'm talking, so when I talk about punk, I'm very lucky. I consider myself lucky to have been before the cusp. The cusp I call Green Day. Like when all of a sudden it was okay to have your hair dyed a different color.
Much
When
to my
before that, I got rock
much to
screwed
my
at me, so
eternal
it's free.
shame, Green Day was actually the first band I ever saw live.
Well, it's your age. You know what I mean? I can't blame you for that. Like that's for me
And
by
you know
that
what?
point.
I can honestly say that every album they'd done till that point was at least okay.
They were no. I'm not gonna argue with that. Actually, I'm not gonna argue with that.
Like honestly,
I never
and
liked the Billy
that
Joe
show,
fake, like,
that show
kind of thing,
was
but
great. They played for like 3 hours.
what was
So
what
like
was their
when
first-
one band comes on and plays for 3 hours, you gotta give it to them. Like if for
Mhm.
stamina, if nothing else, you know what? You gotta give them props.
This is not anything having to do with punk or metal, but someone who played for that long. I went to see Wyclef Jean.
Oh no!
Jean, however you want to say it, at this little place in Ardmore, just like a couple years ago. It was in 2019.
Oh, really? Wyclef
Me-
Jean is still playing? Wow.
Yes, he wished me happy birthday. It was my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
That's
really
fucking
cool. I
awesome.
was there with my high school girlfriend, and like her and I, I always liked like old school rap and just anything like that. But she was more into like the dance thing. So like we would go dancing together, like 80s clubs and stuff like that. The two of us danced the whole time, and he went because he felt like everyone was digging it so much and dancing. He went till like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like it was like,
Wow.
they weren't even serving alcohol. He started like, I don't know, really early. But yeah, he went for a long time. He was like, you know what? You guys this is fun. It turns out like just a dance party. It was cool. But that's another person that played for that long.
Well, I mean, the Boston crowds too just continue going. Like, we don't have a time limit. I mean, I'm sure you ran into that more than once.
Hi, Horrendo Revolver. Courtney sent me. He always says that. You know
Horrendo
who that is.
Revolver, welcome to the channel. And you know what? Welcome to the conversation where we just, start talking shit about everything that we know.
He knows everything about this person, but I don't know if I'm allowed to give him the other name because he's got a different name just because of the like an iPad and a phone type
Well,
situation.
yeah, absolutely. Like until about a year and a half ago, I didn't have this name. You guys have probably talked to me before under my real name, but you didn't know it was me until I started this show.
That long.
You've been on YouTube. I think I commented on one of your videos under my real name.
Oh, we put in the private chat, or do you not want to?
I'll
We'll
DM
just talk another time.
I'll DM you on Gilded.
Yeah, because I started like, I think in like April or something was like my year channel university. Do you like that? Channel anniversary.
Yeah, and
derp.
I started doing gaming videos because I like gaming and it's something I enjoy doing.
I have a lot of gamers,
but I only did 1 or 2 games, and then actually no, I did 2 games, and then I got bored with it, and then somebody gave me the idea to do Rock and Roll Religion.
Do you know that's what my channel was going to be initially?
What's that?
It was going to be a music channel, and what I was going to do.
So what I'm doing now?
Yeah, just a little different is I wanted to bring my friends who are in bands that would draw people also, and not interview them, so to say, but like hang out with them, shoot the shit.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's why what I want this
talk
channel
about other
to be
music
is just sitting here and talking about music with people who either know, like you, or Herbs or Sentinel, who are just fans of the same shit I am. Like, don't get me wrong, I am an old school headbanger. Like, obviously the Sentinel. I don't know if you've seen our almost 5-hour episode on Screaming for Vengeance.
That was epic.
That was great.
I don't know if I'm subbed. Am I subbed?
We did an almost 5-hour episode on Screaming for Vengeance.
I could talk that long about music.
I mean, it's my favorite record of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, I've actually got it tattooed on my fucking body.
Yeah, you know one of the tattoos I have that's band related, and a lot of people think. I think.
Well, I mean, you and me have talked about Motley Crue a couple of times.
Yeah, I have Live Wire. Like
all, and you know what? That album was pretty fucking good.
Very cool.
Dude, that's
Very cool.
the best Crue ever. Like, but I have Live Wire like all across my stomach with lightning bolts and pentagrams and stuff.
But this is the awesome thing. This is the awesome thing to me is that we can just talk music and just be be fans.
I want to ask your other panelists. What are your like favorite bands, and are you into punk at all too? Like, is there any crossover with that?
Yeah, Sentinel, Spice Rack.
Favorite punk band is the Ramones,
Yeah. They're-
seconded by the Misfits.
We are going
Okay.
to do an episode on the Ramones
saw them
very
twice.
shortly here.
both on their
Oh.
final tours.
And Courtney, depending on your availability, you're coming along for that one.
Oh, I will for the Ramones. I personally,
Where
meant
I
me
love
personally.
I fucking love the Ramones.
I have a lot
So-
of Ramones stories. Yeah, I saw them the first time at the Tower Theater in Upper
Herbs,
Darby.
what's your
place.
like favorite trad heavy metal band?
Trad heavy metal band that I'd have to pick out.
So-
Man,
Can you say what you mean, like trad, like traditional, I guess, but like what are you?
Traditional, yeah.
You guys are metal like heads, so like what does that mean specifically? Because
So it
New
means
wave
like,
of
you know,
traditional heavy metal.
Well, no, not traditional heavy metal. NWO BHM bands. So it'd be like Judas Priest, Saxon,
okay,
Motorhead, all that kind of stuff. Like who is your favorite out of all of them?
oh man, yeah, that's a hard one to pick because like the first thing that comes to mind, like what I started listening to back in the day, like, or I say back in the day, but back when I was in high school, there was a lot of like Metallica was like really the first one that I got into, but
So
the
you
other
kind
one
of
I
came.
would say
So
is,
you
like-
kind of came in through the thrash.
Yeah,
method.
yeah. And I was gonna say Ice Earth too, but like picking out for like specifically
Dude,
traditional,
Ice Earth is no joke.
yeah, picking out like specifically traditional heavy metal, like that's a hard one for me because like really the big introductions has been like being on your show here and learning about some of these bands. But yeah, I mean for me it's like I kind of more so than punk, it was like more into like the thrash and like being from California. Been to a lot of like underground thrash bands, like listen to a lot of Exodus and Anthrax and stuff like that. So
Seen
definitely
Exodus
more on
live
that
can
side.
relate, man. Like
guys-
those guys fucking slay.
do you guys
Yeah.
ever get into stuff like Raw Power, like the Italian Raw Power,
All
stuff like that?
power.
It seems like stuff that you would maybe like, but it was, I guess, more rare at the time, or it might, I don't know.
mm,
Well, I mean, I think they're
I've heard of the term
comparing it
Wall
to
of
my
Death, but-
my personal favorite band is Judas Priest.
yeah.
Yeah, that's mine too.
So
Can I just make my Metallica comment because you know I always
Absolutely.
do.
Go for
So Metallica covered a song called "The Money Will Roll Right In." It's on Master of Puppets extended version, but they
from
only
the
do
Fang, right?
they only do instrumental, and
Mhm.
that was a cover of a band named Fang who started in 1980.
And I
And-
actually listened
Okay.
to Fang's albums after
They're new
last week.
They just
After
released a
last
new
week,
one too.
after last week, where I'd never heard of them before,
Mm,
So
and
gotten so
I've been
much better.
listening to them all week, and they're great.
they're
mm.
really good. Their newer stuff is even like amazing. They
Yeah,
just released
they're
an album,
good.
but they're
They're
waiting
good,
on the
kind
vinyl.
of thrash / punk.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
So the deal with Fang is that I was obsessed with that band, and one night the singer of the band came into my punk night where I also bartended and booked the bands, and was like, "Are you Courtney?" And then he started to introduce himself. I'm like, "Yeah, I know who you are." It was Sammy Town, the singer of Fang. Long story short, I ended up filling in on bass for Fang.
Oh,
Nice.
get out of
2005.
here. That's
Wow.
great.
He said to me, he had someone else that was going to do it, and then he said, "Wait," because he knew my buddy Opie, who was like, he's like a classic old punk rocker from Boston. That's who sent him there. He said, "Go talk to her. She's badass or whatever, I guess."
And when
Which-
I say that she's actually talented on bass, she actually is
not any-
really fucking
hands
talented on
Right.
bass.
But I used to be. Nowadays my hands tell me differently. I have to get surgery probably on both of them, which stinks. But that's besides the point. So I ended up getting to play bass with them, and then I forgot my train of thought actually. I forgot what I was gonna say after that. Okay. Oh well. But a lot of bands covered that song. Not just
That's
Metallica.
cool.
Nirvana
No, you're
did,
absolutely.
and-
The money will roll right in. Like Metallica covered it.
everyone
A
did.
bunch of other bands covered
Butthole
it too.
Surfers, Green Day,
Yep.
Nirvana,
Mhm.
Mudhoney. Dude, there were so many bands. Metallica. There's a lot of bands. And people. That's why like spreading the word about that song because I'm like it came from this just like
It came from
sounding like
it came from this almost unknown punk band,
Mm.
and having listened to
Well,
them now,
they
they
well known
don't
for a while.
deserve to be that unknown.
Mm.
Well, they have a story like behind them, and it's not like basically the singer went away to prison for a while. So
Yeah,
Mm.
and then so then they got back together, but now they're just they sound so good now. Their singer has like a bunch of years sober under his belt, which made it like so much better.
That's good. Yeah.
He's such a nice guy. He's a good buddy of mine. We were just talking. He's
well,
like, he's great now.
that's one of the things that strikes people funny about Black Flag
Mm.
is that they'll talk to Henry Rollins. It's
know.
like he's just such a nice guy.
And Henry Rollins used to do weird stuff. Like have you ever seen old Richard Kern films?
Yeah,
With like Lydia Luncheon, like Henry Rollins, like he
like
did some
but
weird-
nowadays he's so straight edge and he's so like
Shut up, Papa Cotton. Sorry, I'm just
like
talking,
he's
talking
just
shit in the chat.
like Henry is just such a great dude.
Mm.
Like after he got all that out of his system,
He used to bug the shit out of me with his spoken word. I'm not
it
gonna lie.
amazes people when we tell people that he used to front Black Flag.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't think that. Just like a lot of people wouldn't think that Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he was in the band Fear, which is like leaving. Like that was the singer. That band was straight up old school punk, like and well known, like legendary.
I'll be right back, guys.
That explains Flea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh hey, I'm sorry, everyone is here. So yeah, Horrendo Revolva. Anyway, that's Papa Cotton, who was Wookiee Supremacy. So they're all going through all of his names. And then Ashley just got here. She says, "Hey y'all, Courtney, I'm your biggest fan. I love you. I love you too, Ashley." They're talking about Butthole Surfers. Oh, you knew the Butthole Surfers? They were dicks. It's funny when you meet bands and then you're like, "The fucking a-holes." It's like censoring a-hole, but said the other rhythm. Okay. Anyway, but I went to see them at like the Mann Music Center, and Stone Temple Pilots opened up for them. Like nobody knew who they were at all.
Okay.
This is probably 1992, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that like video came out, and they were like bigger than life. And I didn't think they were that good necessarily. I didn't think they were horrible when I saw them live, but just out of spite, when they were on MTV and stuff, all of a sudden I was like, I don't like them, but I saw them.
That's funny. Mm.
Oh. I'm just trying to read the. Okay, so what else? I like your hoodie with the. I don't know what's in the heart, but I like it. By the way.
Oh
So-
yeah, there's an Australian band I listen to. If you look close, there's like it's kind of hard to see in the light, but there's like two skeleton hands that are holding like beers, and they're like cheersing each other. It's on the back. It's got a much bigger graphic. That says
What's the band?
like "We sink beers together." It is a like I guess brutal death metal band that goes by the name of Thy Art is Murder, which
Okay.
the name you can definitely tell they're more into that like really heavy death metal sound. They've got like the 666 on it and all that
I would
stuff.
have
But
never have guessed that based on
on the graphic, yeah.
the graphic.
Well, they had a summer tour not too long ago through Australia, and this was like the summer line. And I think it was before COVID hit because they stopped touring. Like Australia was totally shut down at that time. But yeah, they released that shirt a couple of years ago, so I've had it for a little bit. But yeah, it's hard to see with the lighting, but it's two hands that are like clinking beer glasses together. But yeah, it's the interesting thing about the band was before they started doing what they do now, they were like more kind of into playing black metal, but they've gotten more into like a kind of like brutal tech death metal that they do now. It's funny too because I have
See,
a few
I don't know
friends.
all the subgenres like that of metal. Like
It's
you
all
guys do.
new stuff, yeah.
And
Like,
that's how punk kind of went. And I hate
Yeah.
subgenres.
Well,
for
I
some
mean,
reason.
punk
Yeah.
kind of, I think, disappeared into a subgenre of metal.
yeah,
But then
Yeah.
punk
Real
split off.
punk
You
rock.
had pop punk. You had like your like LA punk. You had your
Yeah,
like your Ohio
that-
like Dead Boys.
But
style
that's
punk,
not
like,
actual punk.
what I know is mall rap
rock
punk
and roll.
is
They were the actual rock and roll guys.
yeah. The punk that we have these days
And
is
one of
if
the
not
only
punk, really.
pop punk
Mm.
songs I really, really dig is the Ataris cover of The Boys of Summer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was
Yeah.
good when I heard that on the radio.
It was
They
really
changed
good.
the Grateful Dead sticker thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
and
the
it,
Dead
it
Boys
was
sticker
really
or whatever.
good just in total.
hmm
Like they did like kind of a pop punk version of the original.
Mm.
I got to meet a lot of those kind of more the bands that went more that way because of Warped Tour. So my buddies always played Warped Tour. So whatever city I was in, I get the VIP treatment, whatnot.
Yeah.
And so like the newer like, why did I just use the band that I was thinking of? Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Should not. If I'd been prepared, sorry, like throw it on here.
It's okay.
I was gonna say the pop punk.
I mean, do you expect me to be prepared?
Okay, so
I usually just fucking show up, having listened to the albums, and then just start running my mouth.
Well,
I mean,
something, and then I was talking about Warped Tour. Oh no, I was gonna say so bands like that I ended up getting to meet that are like, well, one of them was a jerk, but Good Charlotte, like Good Charlotte became like huge.
In their early years, they were actually not bad.
I was gonna say, yeah, I remember when they first came out. Like the earlier stuff was
Like we
not half bad.
we were actually old enough to remember Good Charlotte when they were an actual punk band.
Yeah.
See, I consider them poppier punk, but see, there's a difference in
Yeah.
pop punk for me. There's like the after 1993 or 94, like pop punk kind of thing, and then there's the pop punk, which just means it's that type of upbeat melodic punk. You know what I mean? Like not popular punk.
Well,
And
I mean,
bands like that,
it's
and
like
stuff like
the
that.
early Murphy stuff
Mm,
where
yeah.
they were actually a punk
Oh,
band.
you said that at first, and I was thinking Murphy as well, and I'm like, are we going hardcore now? I'm sorry, Dropkick Murphy.
Dropkick.
Like I saw them when I was in middle school
Mm.
for the first time. Like these guys were actual punk
I think it was high school for me.
when
Yeah.
they were originally coming out, and then they went mainstream.
Yeah.
And Courtney,
which
you were in
happens.
Boston at the time.
Mm.
Yes, I was in Boston during big time years for bands that ended up going somewhere. Like
Mhm.
because those years like 96 to like 98, I want to say specifically, you had like, well, first of all, the Unseen, they ended up becoming really big. Global Threat, bands like that. The Ducky Boys even got kind of big after a while.
Yeah.
You had the Dropkicks. You had
But
what
the
were they called? The
Murphys
Explosion?
have kind of stayed.
Oh yeah, the Murphys, well, because they're going to be like a staple forever. I feel like because they
And
can do the mainstream as well, but they're not like that mainstream band you would think of. They still get that.
well, but they
respect from,
also
like,
have the
all-
old school Boston stuff
yeah,
that only
totally.
Bostonians will get,
Yep.
and they play that every time they come
Shipping up
home.
to Boston. Sorry.
Well, I mean, Shipping Up to Boston is I mean, at least for me, like one of their worst songs.
It's horrible. Skinhead on the MTA was like, see, that's the
Skinhead
early
on the
Dropkick.
MTA is.
I had the 7-inch back then that they gave me. Like,
Mm.
it's just funny. And I used to go see
and
like
we've both been in fucking mosh pits when that song came on.
Mm.
yeah. No, not necessarily with them.
Really?
I learned I would only
That's where I came up.
I would not I hate the term mosh pit anyway, but sorry, that's just me. But I would always be up front and I'd be popping up and down, dancing, whatever, and I just kind of do this, if people were coming near me. But people would typically
back,
respect
yeah.
me. And if I got
Yeah.
knocked over, they'd pick you right up. You know,
Yeah.
that's how it was in those days. So,
Well,
but I did get knocked in the head.
That's
at a
how
show.
that's how the etiquette works in the pit.
But not when you
Is
get a lot of these bigger bands and it's like mainstream and you get all
well,
these
but
like people that go in there
the
and beat
real
each other up. You're like, what are you doing?
honestly, like the real fans, like the real guys who are in the pit, as soon as they knock you down, they'll pick
Yep.
you up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is pit etiquette as far as we're concerned. Is I may knock you down, but I'm going to extend a hand down and pick you up. And if you want to get out of the pit, then the exit's right over there. If you want to stay in, then welcome to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest too. I sound like a snob saying this, but I got to watch a lot of shows from the stage, like from the side. So, like in a lot of those years, I didn't have to even.
Well,
When I was
that's
younger,
why, that's
yes.
why I love having you on these shows. Is you guys have a different perspective on the shows from us, who were in the crowd.
Yeah, I was lucky. I told you those years, and also going to Berklee College of Music, like you got, it's weird. I didn't hang out with people necessarily from my school. Like I was into punk, and I moved to a brand new city, and I knew nobody, and I was like, I had always read like MRR, Maximum Rock and Roll and stuff, and I was like, looking through at like certain bands and like looking in the back for these stuff classifieds, and like that's how I met people. And I just randomly went to who did I see my first? I can't even tell you who the first. Oh, you're driving me nuts. So come to me later. The first show I saw at the Rat in Boston.
But that's what those little, rat hole venues were for.
Well, those people, it's funny because I was a girl too, and I was new. You know how it is in a scene. There's a new girl, even though it's a city, but the punk scene is still the punk scene,
Yep.
So I was, I made friends very easily, like, and also a couple of
and it's not even necessarily just because you're pretty. It's just because there's a girl who's into punk.
When I knew my shit, I could talk music.
Yeah, it's just like she actually knows what she's talking about. Okay,
that's like my one thing I'm like proud of in life.
You weren't a groupie.
No, and it's so funny when people are like, Courtney was a groupie. I'm like, even Tommy Lee, who I was totally obsessed with, I got to meet him, and that's someone that I was like, I still think he's endearing in a way because he's so he's ditzy, but I'm ditzy too. But
very, very self-absorbed.
Meeting him in person and then having him, and it was like his solo tour, and then having him bring the titty cam like right up to me, and I was like, nope, sorry, I'm not going to be up on the big screen because I don't know. I would have done it if you hadn't been such a dodo before when I met it. Or no, I wouldn't have done it actually. I don't think I would have. I had a boyfriend at the time who probably would have like gone and found everyone who was there or saw the video and beat them all up.
Yeah, you did the right thing. Right.
Yeah, no, and that's not my style anyway. I don't think I've ever, well, maybe one. No, I don't think I've ever like flashed.
Not just a bra flash.
Well, bra's different. That's like a bikini. I'm not gonna do it on here or anything. I'm just saying, like, some of the clothes that I used to wear, like when I played with Bang, I mean, like a mini like leather halter top. You know what I mean? And like that's just how, I don't know.
But no, I mean, like, especially for us who didn't grow up with it, Motorhead has been the same rallying cry to us. To the old school rock and roll genre as it was to you guys, coming up with the punk and early heavy metal genre. So I think that's really cool in that you have a multi-generational message.
Oh, I have
that.
I mean,
has just so translated completely
like since I was a baby
seamlessly.
I come from a family that, like, my dad was a Deadhead, and I apparently went to I don't know how many Dead shows as up till toddler age or whatever, and then he went away for a while, and then when he came home, I got to see them a couple times that I never wanted to. I was just total punk rocker, but I saw them like 1995, I think, at the Spectrum.
So you were basically the subject of Sheena is a punk rocker.
But then on the other hand, my mom was always into music, and she was like an aerobics teacher in the 80s. So we used to go to Sam Goody and pick out records and make mixtapes for her like aerobics routines or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so I was like totally an 80s kid too. But a lot of that, the 80s were just so good.
The 80s, I mean, I feel like I missed out on so much. I was born in 87, so.
You at least got the 90s though, for real. Like if you had not gotten
It's
the
true.
90s, you're totally effed. Like
That's true.
Yeah, that is very
we
true.
at least knew what we didn't like.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm a late
everything-
80s
Good point,
baby
yeah.
myself, so I when music kind of when I really got into rock, because I heard like Tina Turner and
Mhm.
you know a lot of the Boys to Men and a lot
Really?
of the great like songs on the radio from like 94 to 95. But when I got into rock, it was Rob Zombie, Hellbilly Deluxe, Korn, new metal at the time. And that was kind of
I was
fun.
not huge into new metal, but I did like Every Time I Die. I thought they were kind of okay.
hmm
And then I did like As Like They Dying. I know there's like a whole weird thing with them, but I did like their music.
Well, I actually had an interesting relationship with Stained
Okay.
when they first came out because their first album was new metal, and you know what? It was heavy as shit.
Can we answer really
Yeah.
quickly? Just a question from the chat. Christian asked, how would you guys classify AC/DC? Rock and roll, hard rock and roll.
Hard
Yes.
rock.
Hard
Yeah,
rock.
hard rock. Yep.
I
mean-
would say they're hard rock.
Play
And
the song.
I'd say, and in a lot of cases, I'd say they're the soul of rock and roll.
I was gonna say, yeah, they wrote "It's a Long Way to the Top," right? If you want to rock and roll, learn how to play that song and taught it to a few different students. Like they're the soul of rock and roll for sure. Yeah.
And you know what? I would say that Pat Benatar and Cyndi Lauper both.
Oh, okay. I'm obsessed with all of them. Lita Ford also, who was in Runaways, but
Mhm.
Lita
But,
and then
but
Lita
even,
did.
even just Cyndi Lauper and Pat
Cyndi Lauper
Benatar,
was absolutely. They were both punks.
they,
Absolutely.
they were both,
same with-
female-led punk bands in the
Same with
70s.
Belinda Carlisle, who a lot of people
Yeah.
think of like her later stuff. But she was in
Actually.
the Go-Go's, and before that, she
Yeah.
was in one of the first
Even
like, punk
even the
bands to ever play
Go-Go's
called The
early
Bag.
stuff was more punk than it was mainstream.
Mm.
Yeah, and what's her name? Starts with a J. The bass player.
Oh
Can't think of
shit!
her name right now. Jane. I can't think of her last name, but Jane was always like totally. They were all punks. Like,
No, they were punk rock.
and Joan Jett. I mean, you have to think of Joan Jett and Lita Ford and Cherry Curry. They were all the Runaways. That was like in the punk era.
No, the
you know?
Runaways was straight up a punk band.
But that's where all those amazing people came from. And yeah, and Belinda Carlisle was in a
Now,
band called The Bag.
Lita Ford went a little more mainstream than the others did.
Went to a party last Saturday night and you get laid. I got
But you
a
know
party. I used
what?
to love that line.
Her guitar work is still fucking
She's
excellent.
insane. She's awesome.
Mhm.
And I like her single or her duet with Ozzy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's a
good.
good song.
And Joan Jett, what can you say about Joni?
Joan Jett is like my idol. Like
she's
She's
just
freaking
awesome.
awesome. Yeah. Freaking awesome. Yeah.
Overall, across the entire fucking metal community,
Mhm.
it's like when you mention Joan Jett, it's just like, yeah, she's fucking awesome.
see, people think of like I Love Rock and Roll, the cover that she did. But like when you think of like Bad Reputation, I Hate Myself for Loving You, like she is
Bad
so
Reputation
many
is
badass.
the most punk thing she's ever done.
I did
Yeah.
that song at Berkeley. I was really bad at music tech, and we were just learning MIDI type stuff, and
Oh,
you had to
yeah.
do like a different sound type of another song, like transpose it, do whatever. So I did an industrial version of Bad Reputation.
I mean,
Interesting.
I'm
pretty
self-taught, but I tried to sing that at one point, into the mic and record it. And, that's when I realized I'm not meant to be a singer.
Yeah, me neither, but I still do it. I mean, I'm a rapper. Come on, guys.
Fair enough.
Wait, you rap, Courtney? Or was that a total joke? Or
No,
just-
it's like I'm not like a professional rapper, but on my
Well,
My
I mean,
channel, I'm usually it's Courtney's Fellowship of Eyeballs. I'm on hiatus
Mhm.
right now. I privated my videos. I just have some health stuff, and it's easier for me to not have to have my videos up and have people messaging me. I just had to private it, and I'm on hiatus. But
Yeah.
on that show, one of my shticks is that I freestyle rap because
Oh,
my
very cool.
co-host, Pete, he has a big channel called Creepy Little Book. They talk about
Mhm.
the occult. He hates it when I rap, and we've been friends for over 20 years, so I do it to bug him. So it started like that, and now people are always like, rap, 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 and I do
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
I
That's
freestyle rap.
awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
well, I
Yeah,
mean,
same.
I'll
that's
send you a link to something where you can see it because they are privated, but I'll send you.
Mm.
I'll put it in the private chat or something. where
the
you can
only
maybe
see
we
the
it.
only
should,
time
cool.
the only
Is she
time
in the
I'll
Gilded Disc? Is she in Gilded with us?
yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
I'm just hardly ever
Okay. Okay.
on it. I
Yeah.
have to keep
Either
that
post
stuff.
it in there or the private chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Be awesome.
yeah, I'll do that because
Yeah.
everyone on there has seen it. I just, I just don't have everything public like I normally. I mean, I had just hit over 400 followers, and I have a lot of stuff going on, and I was starting to get a little bit of like,
Hey, I'm just
Um,
over 100 right now, so I feel you.
I can't believe that's all you have. I feel like you should.
Well, I've only been doing this for like 6 months.
Mm.
I'm like a year and a half, I think. But I'm in everyone's chats, and I think that's like a big helper to like having
Well,
because
so
I have
am
a
I.
very eclectic like chat. You know what I mean? I have people that come from like Common State, people that come from Geeks and Gamers, like people from
Well, this
That's
channel,
awesome.
I think this channel is actually where I got my spot on 70s Rock Fans channel.
he's so
Is
cool.
because I'm good at running my mouth for long periods of time, and we did a review of Saxon's new record, and it's fucking phenomenal. Like me, him, and Nick Weiser did one.
I met him. I met that 70s rock fan. He was one of the first like memorable people before he had his channel going.
Okay.
I knew him from the chat in Latino Slant, Paulie.
Yeah.
He was a
Mhm.
member, and like he was just super cool. We would do like member chats, and they used to do karaoke.
I
used to
still
get
I
pumped.
still haven't forgotten. Paulie, if you're looking, if you're watching this, I still haven't forgotten that history of rock and roll stream that we're gonna do at some point. But since I'm moving, it's kind of gotten pushed to the back burner. You guys will absolutely be invited to that. All for you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So the thing really quickly with that 70s rock fan is he came, it was a member stream on Latino Stream. I don't even think he had 1,000 subs yet. And so we got to see each other's faces. And I looked at the 70s, and all behind him was vinyl, and I just lost it. I lost. I was like, you have like more vinyl than I used to have before my fire. Oh my god! And there's like nobody that has collections like that anymore. And then he started talking, and he has a lot of like punk stuff, and oh my gosh! So yeah,
Dude, that guy
That's when we
knows
became
more
friends.
about old school rock and roll than I ever will, even having studied most of it for 20 years.
he knows a lot
Because
about
he grew
punk,
up in
too.
because he grew up in that era.
He's great. He's funny.
And like I'm trying I love a lot of that shit, but I'm still playing catch up.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. At least you get like excitement. You know what I mean? Like it's exciting. So
Absolutely. Like I love listening to like his 70s rock and roll radio 70s rock fan radio streams.
I love his
Mm.
called pirate radio.
Yeah, well, I mean it is.
Talk hard, like pump up the volume. Anyways,
But even when he goes, on the heavier metal scale, like I'm used to, like it's great to see it. The other people just like this music.
I like that he has knowledge of everything. Like I'm
He
a
does.
huge fan of the zombies and
from
stuff.
50s
and
from 50s rock and roll up to current. I mean, like my intro on his channel is Sabaton.
Okay, right on.
Which
I like
off their newest album too.
I
which
like
is
what he
just-
picked for me. It's appropriate. Like just
It
because
really
it's
is.
true, and it makes me feel good.
It really
And
is.
like, and then my face shows, and I'm like,
Oh no.
he introduces me with "Looks That Kill" by Crew. So it's like
Hey,
I always want to be like,
you fit that description.
thank you. I'm old enough. I'll take the compliments. I'm not getting any younger. Keep them coming. I will be right back, though. I just have to finish with be right back. What is this picture?
I don't know.
It's out at a bar?
I was say it's your profile picture. We don't know.
It looks like my arm or something, and because that sign in the back is Club 218's bar. I'm almost
Yep.
positive.
Yeah, I thought it was a bar.
I don't know what that is though. Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. But now, boys. I mean,
Oh, I was going to say, I remember what I was going to say 20 minutes ago. All right. Pop punk. Ramones were doing pop punk songs before pop punk was a thing. Am I wrong or am I right?
well, I mean, they were doing punk before punk really had a name.
I just ran back. You are right. Sorry.
Because you have songs like We Want the Airways and Sha-na, the song that starts Sha-na-na-na, Howl at the Moon. That's the song.
or
and
hell,
those are
even
poppy
I Want to
fuck.
Be Sedated.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Like that has so many pop leanings.
So we could even say that the Ramones are the first pop punk band, not just the first punk band.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
All right,
Mhm.
that's then that is my stance. That the Ramones were both the first first punk band and the first pop punk band. That's a tongue twister.
They
Try
were
saying that 3 times fast.
I will say the other band though, only because they've been around since 1977. I have not gone to the bathroom yet. Don't worry, I'm not in the bathroom right now.
fair enough.
The only another band is the Dickies, who are very melodic like that, and they
Mm.
were 1977 because you'll
And
laugh
they-
at this.
and
I
they-
played Pokemon
they've
Go
re-
with their guitarist.
they'd released material before 1977, right?
Well, all I know is that Stan Lee, like comic guy, but it's not. That's the name of the guitarist of the Dickies.
Yeah.
He's been an OG member, and their first show was 1977 at the Whiskey for Leonard's birthday on September
Oh,
2nd, and Stan Lee, the guitarist, was 20 years old at the time.
okay.
And so think about how old he is now, and that he plays Pokemon Go with me.
Oh shit! That's
I
cool.
freaking love it. Anyway, now I'm leaving for 5 minutes. I will let you talk. I'm shutting up.
Well, I mean, I think we
Oh,
answered
they're
this
from
already,
San Fernando
Christian.
Valley too. Oh,
Is
damn.
Cyndi Lauper did have some punk stuff. I wouldn't say she's inherently a punk band, but I would say that she definitely has some punk leanings.
Mm.
I think Alice Cooper was right when he said that punk turned into disco because
Well,
well, my thing is you have Blondie and then you have Blondie at the end of the 70s into the 80s.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And so when you brought up the Cyndi Lauper thing, that's what I was thinking of. It's like I can imagine her having some punk leanings because she's kind of got this irreverence to her, and punk is very irreverent in its attitude. And I can hear that kind of probably put into the music.
But you can also hear Motorhead in a lot of this music.
In Cyndi Lauper songs?
Well, in songs from that era of like the more aggressive punk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is where rock and roll was going.
Yeah.
And Motorhead kind of led the way.
Motorhead, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Because they were they had formed around the same time. They released their first album around the same time. And they would be massively influential for all the bands that would come after them going
Both
forward.
of them. Like,
Both of them.
regardless of genre.
Regardless of genre. Absolutely.
like every bassist ever has heard of Lemmy.
And if they haven't, they should be fucking ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Same thing with guitarists and Eddie Van Halen.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
if you haven't studied what Eddie Van Halen used to do with his six string, what the fuck are you doing?
They
Right.
must have been living under a rock or not had like,
Yeah, like
access to the internet or any kind of technology other than, I can't even, yeah.
Yeah. There's no way you can be a guitarist and have not heard of Eddie Van Halen unless you're like strictly classically trained. But even like classical guitarists know of Eddie Van Halen. Like there's just no escaping him.
well, I
He's-
mean, especially because a lot of his work is classical guitar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is.
Especially a lot of his arpeggios and stuff like that are
Mhm.
just straight up classical music
Yeah. Yeah.
played on an electric guitar.
Yeah.
With lots of distortion. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Eddie Van Halen is like, you know,
And
I would
fear
say
not,
the Bach, very Bach influence. How
and,
Bach?
and fear not, viewers, we are gonna do an episode on Van Halen
Yes.
very, very soon.
Hell yeah.
I would say within the next few weeks. Because I love Van Halen just as much as you guys do. I will be a little bit of a heretic and say I actually like Van Hagar a little bit better than the original.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Ah,
No comment.
you say that, but listen to 5150.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's amazing. Have you any counter argument?
I'm just gonna say no comment.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of just no.
Well,
Scott
yes,
was like,
no.
but at the same point, I have made a musical argument to the positive in that, Sammy
think he-
Hagar was a great addition to Van Halen.
I think you can make that argument, and there are some Van Hagar songs I really do like. I think pure Van Halen fans who were there from the beginning, a lot of them did not like the more pop direction that Van Halen went with 5150.
Oh, I can hear that, and I see
You
the
have,
argument there.
Heavier, more. You have basically in an album that was basically all recorded on electric drum pads to a certain extent, and
Yeah.
has a lot of keyboard synthesizers going on in it. Now, are some songs very good in it? Yeah, I think. But those records are not my favorite at all,
Mm.
and that's really the only argument I have.
I'm sorry I got booted, and then now I'm logged in, and
No.
everything's correct. Because I noticed that thing's gone. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
I
You're
don't know
good.
what I did.
Welcome to how I deal with things half the time. Why is this thing on default settings? Why? But no, I mean, we were just talking about some other stuff that mainstream rock and roll fans, I think, can all get behind, but do cause division. Things like Van Halen. Now, me, I am actually a Van Hagar fan.
Cringe. I'm not even a huge
Exactly.
fan.
See what I mean? See what I mean?
I'm not even a huge Van Halen fan, to be honest. Which I know that's like whoa, but
No, I completely understand not being a Van Halen fan.
It's all personal preference at the end of the day. There's no way to quantify why something means more to us than it does to another person.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, everyone's got their own tastes and whatnot. I was trying to think of like later, like bands that were influenced by Motorhead. And so when I had my thinking cap on, I was thinking like GBH, Discharge, like there's all these like
Yes.
Yeah.
UK bands that
Yes.
were like
DRI.
totally
Yes.
influenced by them, because I was really trying to think of like,
Well, I
bands.
mean, Metallica,
Metallica, yeah, obviously, like
Venom.
Venom, definitely, but like those,
But the thing is, Venom actually influenced Metallica as well.
see, the thing with like here, like thinking
Like
GBH and Discharges, that was like what I was
interesting
into.
part is that Motorhead influenced Metallica directly, but
Yeah.
they also
Influenced
influenced them indirectly through Venom.
Mhm.
And
You can go back and look at the T-shirts that they were wearing in photos from
Yeah.
like 1981. They're wearing
Yeah.
Venom "Welcome to Hell" T-shirts.
yeah,
Nice.
Both James and
I
Dave
mean,
Mustaine.
a T-shirt I still fucking rock today.
Mm.
But it's interesting in that like those guys were listening to that stuff, and you can hear it in early Metallica, like "Hit the Lights."
See, when I think about like the more like the punk bands, because I was really into like UK punk for a while, like that was like kind of what I started getting into.
Okay, so you were more on the UK side of the.
Like, that's just what I started on. Like that was
Okay.
kind of what I don't know. I mean,
And
my
you know what,
all-time
Motorhead.
favorite punk band is the Dead Boys, and they are not.
And you know what,
anything like that.
Motorhead was a great argument for the UK punk movement.
Exactly, because if you think of bands like another one,
Bands like
Exploited.
Vibrator or fucking stuff like that.
The
on their
Exploited,
first album.
GBH, and Discharge, all of them are UK bands. So that's
Or even Motorhead off their first album, whether it be the self-titled or Vibrator or whatever, they're very UK punk
yeah,
Mm.
it is. It's like so much
in terms of their sound.
They are. They absolutely are. Did we answer the was Cindy Walker? Well, I can't even talk. Lauper ever punk?
I mean, we did.
Girls Just Want to
Because,
Have Fun
yeah,
was the most
she
punk rock
is.
song ever to me. If you
Well, I
think
mean,
about
she
it.
is.
Yeah,
Like,
she is.
even the Go-Go's are punk
The
to a
Go-Go's
certain
were-
point.
The Go-Go's are punk. Well, and also Jane Whelan, that was her name, the bass player. Jane Whelan and as I said, Belinda Carlisle. Everyone used to tell me I looked like her when my face was a little chubbier and I had blonde and shortish hair. Be like, no.
I'm amazed that somebody thinks that Sam Goody is an actual reference. Like, even in 2010, when I was out in San Diego, there was still a Sam Goody.
They used to have
Big
them on the
Sam
West
Goody.
Coast too.
Yeah, there was
I
a
didn't know they
big.
were everywhere.
There was a big Sam Goody, like probably a 2-floor store in
Well,
the mall in San Diego.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, they shut them down a long time ago, but it's funny. Ashley's from the same area, neck of the woods as me. So when she said, "Holy cow," she said Sam Goody. We're probably thinking of like the same Sam Goody.
Well, I mean, it's like me referencing Tower Records.
Tower, yeah, and I always go to Newbury Comics because like that was.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to go to Newbury Comics as a kid.
And then Planet. I lived right above Planet Records. That was what burned.
I miss having a straight up old school record store around.
They still have one in Philly, and unfortunately, I mean, it's still going to go on, but the owner, who used to just be an employee there, but we used to hang out at this. It's called Noise Pollution. We used to hang out at this tiny record store on like right off of South Street, like when we were teenagers, and we would go in, and it would be really exciting to find like a rare vinyl, keep it free behind the counter. He just passed away, and I had this like serious breakdown because I felt like it was my youth, like because we used to hang out there all the time. But they're still there, so there are some still going. Kind of like there's still some cool comic book shops.
That was kind of what happened to Tower Records in Burlington. Is like, we used to go there every week. So we developed a rapport with the people who work there, every Friday night, we used to go there and just grab a record. We liked the album cover. There was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just we liked the album cover.
It's funny because the tower that they had in Pennsylvania, well, they had a Tower Records on South Street. I forgot about that one. But they had a Tower Books, and it was like 15 minutes away from where I lived. But I used to go there because it was like one of the only places that you could get maximum rock and roll. You could get Swug and Lettuce, like all these weirder kind of like underground music
we used to fucking get all the heavy metal magazines as well, like just to see what was going on. But in the early 2000s, like, everything was kind of dying.
Tower made it so that I got to meet really cool people, though, because I did work also at that Obon Pan that was like right between the T Stop and Tower Records. It might be before your time, but
no, I know exactly where you're talking about, near Davis Square.
In it's not Davis Square. That's still the Red Line, but you can get the Red Line from there. But it was called the what was it called? It was like the Museum of Fine, the MFA stop or something.
Oh yeah.
It was Mass Ave /
Museum of Fine Arts. Yeah.
It was right on the corner of Mass Ave and Boylston, but in a little bit. And then they had you would go down the stairs to the T, and then you'd have the Owam Pan. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah.
They had pastries and whatever. I was their barista. But we shared a door with Tower Records, so we would have people that were musicians that were going to do signings or whatever at Tower would come through to get coffee. I get to meet Gangstar.
My uncle actually used to take me down there.
In that little back
because he would take me to Harvard's, Museum of Science, essentially.
Oh, nice.
But we used to get off on that stop.
Nice.
And I remember, going into Tower Records every now and again to, just look around. Like that. I remembered that exact
the downstairs
like
little thing, and it went right into our like the back of our little coffee shop. But
if
people that were big stars would come in.
You went to the left, it was Tower Records, and if you went to the right, it was Obon Paint.
Yes, exactly. And then the T Stop was right on the other side. Go down the stairs. Yep. And then Berkeley was right there on the next block down.
Oh, you're not wrong.
That was my hood for a while.
Oh.
But yeah, I got to meet like Gangstar, like randomly, and I was like, everyone was making fun of it because they're like punk rock Courtney. I'm like, it's Gangstar, dude. And like Yo-Yo Ma, which I probably would have gotten to meet him at Berkeley anyway. But the cellist,
you know what?
Like,
in terms of musical ability, he's fucking fantastic. Like everyone's like, oh well, you're a rock fan. Like, yeah, I am, but like I understand good music when I hear it.
I'm a fan of almost all music. There is some like top, I can't stand top 40 country, really. I just can't.
No,
and I try.
Although I will say Brad Paisley is actually a good guitarist.
I wouldn't even be able to. Like,
me and my dad actually went down and saw him this year at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, the casino?
Yeah.
That's
and
so funny.
You know what? He actually did a live rendition of Hot for Teacher.
Nice.
And he did a damn good and he did a damn good job of it too.
Oh man.
So like, you can't be a bad guitarist and play that song.
No.
Like you have to actually know what the hell you're doing.
It's funny because I can play like all the chords on a guitar. Like I could be a rhythm guitarist probably in like a punk band. Nowadays, like I have hand problems now, so it blows. But at a certain time, but going to like Berkeley where people were like the best guitarists.
Yeah.
You didn't even like pick up a guitar in front of other people because it was like, no. But I actually ended up having to kind of really learn guitar being a music teacher, because they told me I had a 7th grade guitar class. And I was like, well, I know the chords, so I guess that's pretty much what I'm gonna have to like teach these
Well,
kids.
yeah, I mean, like, I mean, it would be like saying that to me, like, okay, like, I guess I can learn that.
See, I already knew all the chords because being a bass player in a jazz band, you see the chords and you do walking bass. So you have to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
theory. It's, you know,
I was
Um,
just thinking about like teaching a group class of it doesn't matter what age, but teaching a group class of like kids how to play guitar or any instrument really. It's just getting them to shut up and sit down and listen. And having done that, oh
and this
my
was
god.
seventh grade. This was middle school. And
Yeah.
two of the kids, I'll never forget, they had like unseen patches like on them. And I
Oh,
was like,
very cool.
I know those guys, you know, trying to be cool teacher. And they're like, yeah, right. Like they were so
Yeah,
mean to
it's
me.
like you
Being
know
little
them,
assholes.
and meanwhile, you've actually played with them.
Yeah.
I never played with the unseen. I've just been best buddies with a couple of them for a long time.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
The unseen are they're still going. They're
That's cool. That's
I mean, they're
cool.
not like they all have real jobs now, but they will still tour.
Mm.
They're not
Well, I
going
mean,
like
it's kind of like me being, you know, my generation of the Marine Corps,
Mm.
and I have actually met a couple of guys who have earned things like Navy Crosses
that's
and
cool.
Medals of Honor.
Mm.
I've actually met shit, the hell's his name? The last guy who earned a Medal of Honor and lived, the sergeant,
Mm.
used to date fucking Sarah Palin's daughter.
Oh no shit.
I don't know who.
Yeah, I forget his fucking name. Jesus Christ. But I've actually met him before he actually earned that medal.
Okay. Okay.
So my ex-husband, his grandfather, he was the Air Force, but you can like Google his name and stuff. He was a prisoner of war, hit by fighters and crashed at Wester Road on 7744 in a B-24. And he served with like that famous the 389th Bomb Group, which was like a really famous whatever.
Yeah, the 8th Air Force.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
I wouldn't know that. You know that. That's awesome. And he ended up getting all these awards. Like they flew him back to 8th Air Force Roll of Honor database. That's so funny that you just
There
said
we go.
that.
Yep.
No, do you understand how decorated the 8th Air Force was during that war?
Mm.
Like
He-
those guys were basically the bomber force
Mm.
during all of the European theater.
Mm.
The 8th Air Force was basically, you know, the strategic bombing unit
Sorry, God.
of of America's strategy in Europe.
Yeah, so his his uniforms are in museums and stuff like that.
And
wow.
well, I mean, especially when you see what those guys used to go through.
Well, he was a POW for a while. Like,
Well, there's a reason for that. Most of those guys didn't even live that long.
Mm.
Like
I
they just got
know.
shot out of the sky
Mhm.
and either got torn up in the plane or, you know, like your grandfather ended up in a POW camp.
Mm.
I don't know if you can see that, but there's his
I
like
do
it's in a
see that.
museum. Like it's cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and oops, I just lost it. They invited him back years later for like a public
Wow.
apology and stuff to Germany, I think.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so he had he was shot down on July 7th. Yeah, 8th Air Force. It's so funny. 1944 POW in the Stalag Luft 3. So where's the decorations? You can probably tell by the medals, but
Now, I have a very unique distinction. I've never been there. I really want to.
Mm.
Because I am one of the few human beings on the planet who actually has the privilege to go there.
Mm.
Is I actually want to walk on Iwo Jima
Wow.
Okay.
because my grandfather actually served there.
Mm.
That's intense. And this is not the same, but I can relate to kind of that
Oh no, I mean
emotion in a sense.
my grandfather actually talked to me about some of the stuff that they went through on that
Mm.
island of basically burning Japanese out of fucking caves with flamethrowers
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
because they couldn't make that assumption that this was clear, and if they sent Marines in, they weren't coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he only started talking about it once I graduated boot camp
wow.
and became a Marine.
Mm.
That's
Because,
special though.
well, because, you know, now I understand. And you know
Mm.
what? I think that's what his point was, is that I would understand.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, maybe my dad wouldn't have,
Mm. Right.
because I hadn't, or he hadn't gone through what I had, becoming a Marine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, the shit that they used to he used to talk to me about, like burning people out of out of holes with flamethrowers, was about the best that you could expect.
Mm.
I got to visit and the only thing that I could ever like relate to a story like that um was I got to visit a concentration camp when it was actually in Austria, the concentration camp, but
Well,
it was
that's
a
actually the
tour.
funny thing, isn't it? Is that almost all of the concentration camps were not in Germany.
Yeah, the one I went to was in Austria, but I was on like a music tour actually, and my girlfriend that was with me, her grandmother was a survivor,
Oh
so
wow.
it was intense. I mean, we stood in like, okay, this got depressing, but yeah. So you know,
Well,
it's
but at the same time, like, we need to talk about this kind of stuff because
I
it
didn't hear
happened.
a lot about it growing up, and I appreciate like hearing it. And I have friends that have served, so I've heard some stories. Of my grandfather never told me, but told my dad. You know,
Well, I
Mm.
mean, that's kind of how it works, is that
well, my
we only talk to the people who also served.
yeah, well,
Mm.
my reasoning also though is I was raised Quaker, so we're conscientious objectors. So as kids, I wasn't allowed to. I didn't hear. You know what I mean? A lot of the like we
Well,
didn't
yeah, I
believe
mean,
in war, basically our religion. So
it's an interesting thing given our family history, given that we were at one point Quakers.
Mm.
really,
Yeah,
yeah, I
my
still consider myself Quaker.
my actual family has been here since 1630.
Yeah, and so a lot. The original kind of Quaker state really was Pennsylvania, but they go all along.
Actually, it
But
was originally New York,
was it?
New York and New England.
Hmm, I didn't know that. And that might be the difference between like I think there's Orthodox Quakers and liberal Quakers. It could be the difference. I'm not sure
That might be, but I
because I
know
never heard of an Orthodox Quaker where I grew up. I've
there
gone to a lot
is
of different.
a lot of Quaker meeting house roads
Mm.
in Massachusetts.
I do know. I do remember that the Quaker meetings were accessible there. Where I live now, you're not going to see a Quaker meeting house anywhere.
Now, I'm not saying that they were wrong or right.
It was just
They're my ancestors. And, you know, they were fighting, if they fought at all, on Lake Champlain.
Mm.
And this was in the War of 1812. we had already fought in the American Revolution. In fact, my firmest connection to the American Revolution is John Parker. Which I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I don't.
Was he on
No.
the first?
Remind me. I mean, the name sounds familiar, but
He was the commander of the Minutemen on Lexington Green
okay.
on April 19th, 1775.
Oh wow.
Wow.
He was a relative of mine.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Unfortunately, he was already dying. He had contracted tuberculosis.
A lot of people died of that back then.
Yep, and so he was already dying. So I think that digs into his honor a little bit, in that he was already going to die. You know what I mean? Like, so he had nothing to gain. But by standing his ground against the English, he lived forever.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that people's souls go on forever anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, but he stood his ground against the English for the first time in American history in April 19th, 1775.
That's a very, very special thing, and that's very neat that's like part of your heritage, you know? That's really cool.
Well, I mean, he's a distant cousin.
Still family.
But, the Parker side of the family still celebrates it, and so do I.
So I'm not trying to cut things short, but I did write something in the private chat. I didn't notice the time.
Yeah. We've got to go.
You guys don't all have to go. I just have to kind of go really quickly because I have to get somewhere before 6.
Well, I mean, I
here.
need to go too. So,
well, I feel like I'm sorry that I talk a lot. I can't help it. I'm from Philly. I'm loud and I talk a lot.
well, no, you gave us a lot of perspective on Motorhead.
I think I went all over the place.
As in when they were a new band. Like we would never know. Because we are younger than.
I'm old. I know. I get it.
Well, I'm not saying that. It's just that you have a different perspective on Motorhead than we would.
Because you were there. I mean, when it happened, to know the kind of stuff that was going on with the music, the scene back
music
then.
was totally different back then because there was no internet. So things like music wasn't even accessible. First of all, you had to seek things out. You had to you didn't just hear anything at the press of a button. So, I'm really sorry, but I do have to go. And thank you for inviting me on here because I love talking music.
Dude, you're always welcome on this channel. You know that.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry I didn't get to hear more from both of you guys. I wanted to ask you guys all these questions, but I don't shut up.
Oh, there will be more conversations for that. Yeah,
there will absolutely be more conversations that you'll be a part of. Thank you. And thank you for being here, man.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Bye to the chat and peace out to everyone. See ya. I'm a rapper, remember?
Rock on. But no, I mean, this is the era that we have, where,
the 1977 to 1980, 81.
Yeah, this is the early era of Motorhead.
This is the era of Motorhead. This is the era of
punk.
Well, that too. And I was also going to add to that is that this is the era where heavy metal, as we know it today, was
Mhm.
fully formed.
Was born, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say it happened a little bit earlier with Judas Priest, only by a year. With Sad Wings of Destiny.
Mm.
You could say Sad Wings is a progressive rock album in some sense.
I would say that is the first true heavy metal album.
Mm.
I can't. I'm just all right. I'm gonna have to agree because I can't think of any reason why it's not. But I just consider it, for me, more of a hard progressive rock album.
No, and you know what? That's a perfectly valid opinion as well. Like that's why like this era turns into a no man's land.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that you have bands from both sides of the conflict that are doing similar stuff at similar times.
Mhm.
Now, I will say Motorhead is one of the ones to break that deadlock
Yeah. Yeah.
because they are just a hard rock band.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's so much.
They're just a rock and roll band.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are, and they threw a brick through fucking what it meant to be a rock and roll band in the 1970s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's
You
Why?
couldn't
Because
classify Motorhead.
no, you still can't.
I would love to read some of the old reviews and interviews on Motorhead and seeing how the music media at the time tried to classify Motorhead.
I think that would be entertaining, but you know, as they are right now, they just redefined rock and roll.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
As far as what we had going on at the time, I mean, there wasn't really a band that was doing anything else like what Motorhead did. I mean, it was like I said earlier, it was like there were some parts listening to them where I was like, is this what Jimi Hendrix would have like eventually kept playing?
Well,
Like,
I
would he have
mean,
gotten
like,
heavier like this? It almost sounds like in some
well, I
parts
mean,
where
expand on that, Herbs, because you're the one. You're the guy who like you are hearing this for the first time.
I spent a lot of time listening to Hendrix, and one of my friends that I used to the dabble into the psychedelics with and listen to Hendrix while we were tripping. We would have a lot of discussions on what we thought Hendrix would have like kept going into if he didn't die, if he didn't pass away. And my friend was on the side of like he thought that Hendrix would have done hip hop and rap, which you can see that. But then I was like, no, I think he would have gone the route of like heavy metal. And listening to Motorhead, there's like some parts on Bomber. There's some other parts too where I'm like, especially when you guys told me, which I didn't know
Yes,
before, that
we
he
are
was
still
Hendrix
going.
roadie. Yeah, yeah, still going. Yes, we're still going. There's
Because
parts
we still
where,
have shit to say.
yeah, there's parts where I was like when you told me earlier that it, Lemmy, I think, was Hendrix's roadie. It was like, okay, this makes sense why like it has a little bit of a Hendrix sound in some parts there, and even with like the guitar playing too. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Like, would Hendrix really have gotten into heavy metal? I kind of think he would have
Yeah,
because he did start getting
I
heavier at the
absolutely
end.
think he would have, considering he was getting heavier and bluesier as he went along.
Right, right.
And
And
also the way
I think he would have really dug into Black Sabbath.
yes,
oh yeah, oh yeah. That's one of the other bands that I pulled for like my argument of why Hendrix would have gone towards rock and roll or metal is like
Which
look at Black
we're
Sabbath.
gonna talk about that
Can I-
maybe after
can I add one thing
the
before
Sabbath
we?
stream.
Can I enter one thing into the conversation about Hendrix?
Yeah.
Listen, go back and listen to Fire, and listen to how he wrote it and how he arranged it, and then add the kind of heaviness you start to hear towards his later records, like Electric Ladyland. Then
Oh, yeah.
you can start to really
Yeah.
imagine how heavy and fast some of that if he had lived into the mid to late 70s, he would have gotten.
I
I
would say-
completely agree with Herbs. He would have gone heavy metal. He would have gone heavier, and maybe even a little faster.
I would
Yeah.
submit Voodoo Child.
Yes. Again,
Oh
next-
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, especially that intro riff is just straight heavy metal.
hmm
He is really getting into that like grimy, sleazy, like just hard music. Yeah, like that's the only way I can think of to describe it. But that's what I feel like every time I listen to Voodoo Child. I'm like, this ain't blues. It's blues, but it ain't blues. Like it's going past blues, you know.
Yeah,
And it's
it-
weird. Well, not
We
weird.
we used to listen to that shit a lot coming off the chopper
Mm,
as Voodoo Child
hmm
being either Stevie Ray Vaughan's version or the
Mm.
original.
Both are great, by the way.
Both are great. Yeah.
You can't go wrong either way.
Oh man. And the you can find it on YouTube, but the live version where Vaughn like breaks the string during his performance and just keeps on fucking playing, like so good, dude. So good.
Dude,
But-
Stevie Ray is one of the best pure guitar
Yes.
players
Yes.
of any style
Of any style, any genre.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Joe Satriani. I love Steve Vai.
Vaughn does it for me, dude.
Stevie Ray Vaughan could
I
hang
love-
with
I love-
Malmsteen,
I love
and
Jason
he could
Becker,
hang with
too.
John Lee Hooker. That's Stevie Ray. He could hang with Malmsteen, and then he could hang with John Lee Hooker or Chuck Berry or B.B. King. That is
Kind of
his
player. he is.
ability, the range of his ability, right there.
I had
Yeah.
another guitar player that unfortunately had his career cut short because of an illness, which would be Jason Becker.
I was wondering, yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Because that dude, Jesus Christ, could he play?
When Becker and Friedman, they were putting out their stuff, dude, it's timeless right there, man.
I own the first Cacophony record. It's great.
Mm.
It has
And
a lot of the late 80s progressive stuff going on that, like bands like Queensryche and even King Diamond with Abigail and them started to put
Well, I
into
mean,
music.
hold on to that thought because we're going to get there.
Okay.
Not saying that Spooktober is going to be a thing,
Oh, I
But
love
it's
Hall-
going-
I love Halloween,
but it's
by
going
the
to be
way.
a thing.
As
we're
soon
gonna
as
be
it
doing-
turned September 1st, I started getting all the Halloween candy and everything. I
We're-
fucking love
hey,
Halloween.
we're going to be doing bands like Halloween.
Yes.
We're going to be doing King Diamond.
Yes. All right.
Like, we are going to be doing, and you know what? We're going to be doing Ray Parker Jr. as well.
Oh
Fuck
yeah.
outta here. Really?
Yes.
All right.
Why? Because I fucking love that song and I love that movie.
Mm.
And let's face it, it's just a fun song.
Yeah, yeah.
The Ghostbuster theme, like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
you can't not like that song.
Right. 100% agree.
But we are also going to do some black metal stuff.
Mm.
Hopefully, Imperatus will be there for that.
Yeah.
Because he is our, black metal encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I do listen to black metal, but I mostly do first wave stuff.
He is he's definitely the go-to on all things.
Now, granted, things
heavier.
like Emperor or fucking Mayhem and stuff like that, like he
Mhm.
is our expert on that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I listen to that stuff, but I don't know enough about it.
Right. Emperor's in the Night Side Eclipse.
Oh,
that's an
man.
amazing album.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Imperatus's review of that album, go watch it.
Yep. Yep.
and that album itself is just fucking phenomenal.
That's one I'm gonna, when I get a little bit of money in, I'm gonna like actually get an album for it because love to have a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like even just listening to it, like Herbs, you're kind of new to this stuff,
Yeah.
especially the '80s stuff.
Yeah. It's more the I hate to call it mainstream, but like more the like more well-known metal bands that I've been listening to growing up.
Well, I mean, it's
Like,
also the beginning is black metal, like Venom and Bathory.
those are totally new for me. Yeah.
Now, what's your opinion on Bathory?
So from what I've heard, it's good. It's just I need to like really dig into it. It's like I remember when I watched your guys' episode on it, I was like, okay, I'll check these guys out. And I heard a few songs, but it was like in passing. So I'm like, okay, I can dig these guys, but for me to give like a real say so and like if I like them or not,
Well, I mean,
it's got to be a full album kind of
that
deal.
impacts me more than you'd ever know. The fact that you guys actually like, hey, these guys are a fucking thing. Listen to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a band like Bathory, where
Venom, Bathory.
Venom, I think most people know, even if they don't know, they know it.
Yeah.
Bathory, on the other hand, like they are the true beginning of black metal.
I would go so far to say as like a hidden gem because like I've heard Venom's name before. Like there's other black metal bands I've heard of, but like yeah, Bathory was like that was totally new. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna check them out.
Which is odd to me, in that is where black metal came from.
Yeah.
Like Bathory is one of the originators. Like, don't get me wrong, bands like Merciful Fate and Sodom, that kind of carried that.
Yeah.
Into metal stardom, but Bathory themselves kind of languish in the we started it, but no one knows who we are. Kind of realm.
Yeah, Bathory, for me, how I kind of interpret it from the outside looking in as somebody who doesn't listen to black metal and has an awareness of it, all of the bands kind of, for me, are kind of like mixed into this melting pot. And if you don't know each band specifically, they all kind of look and sound alike to somebody on the outside looking in.
Knowing your musical preferences, I would definitely recommend early Venom and also early Bathory, like the first two albums, to you as like something I think you'll enjoy.
All right. And I have Venom songs that I downloaded that I like.
But I mean the albums themselves.
The albums themselves I need to get into for sure.
Yeah.
I would say 1981, Welcome to Hell.
It's amazing. It's amazing that, for me, because I know who Venom is, but I didn't listen to their music until several of years after I had known of them. And now it just happens that way. Sometimes I hear of a band.
You're just finding out how influential they were.
Yes. You can like you said, you can hear them in Hit the Lights. You can hear them in Seek and Destroy. You can hear them in Phantom Lord. You can hear them in those songs without a fucking doubt.
Not even you can also hear them really heavily in Black Magic by Slayer.
Yeah.
And we are going to get to early Slayer.
I love early Slayer.
Yeah.
At some point.
I
love those records.
I love creepy Slayer. Creepy atmospheric Slayer vis-a-vis Hell Awaits.
Mhm.
So I mean, like, you're a fan of black metal.
I probably am, and I don't even know it.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, that's like that atmospheric quality, that
That's a
love
black
that
metal
shit.
thing,
that
yeah.
creepy
I love that
intro
shit.
is black metal.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think if you listen to Bathory more, I think you'll find that on your own.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I mean, all of these bands were influenced by Motorhead to an extensive degree that I think everybody who's listening to all of these bands can hear. Like, this era of Motorhead gave rise to Metallica, Slayer, Bathory in a lot of sense, Venom.
Mhm.
Like, these guys were all listening to Motorhead. And I think you guys can hear it.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Motorhead, without Motorhead, we would not have had speed, thrash, death, or black metal.
Mhm.
Without a doubt. It just does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, just because, like, it doesn't connect.
Mhm.
And when you look at a lot of the early thrash metal guys, they all list Motorhead as an influence.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
They certainly do, yeah.
And you can. There's not many statements that you can make definitively, but saying all the thrash bands were influenced by Motorhead is just one of those statements you can make definitively, and it's a fucking fact.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because they all were.
They all.
Mm.
Like you said, Overkill named themselves after Overkill was the record. So
Or even just the Bay Area thrash bands like, Testament, stuff
Exodus
like.
Exodus for sure is
Oh,
Oh
God,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yep.
And
Yep, listen to the
Exodus has a founding member that went on to be in Metallica.
Yep.
true.
Yep.
He also formed the band.
Yep, a founding member of Exodus was Kirk Hammett, who
Mhm.
went on to be Metallica's lead guitarist.
Yep. Yep. When you listen to a lot of the old early Exodus stuff, you can definitely hear where they took from Motorhead, like
No,
hands down.
absolutely,
Hands down. Yeah.
you can. But I think we've beaten this to death. I think a little bit. So I think we'll end it here. Um, Herbs, what do you got going on?
So, usual stuff. Streaming on Twitch tomorrow, twitch.tv/Sergeant Herbs, and a few streams throughout the week. And with a little bit of debating, I am actually doing a bit of a change of plans with the YouTube, because instead of doing all this work with like editing and putting together videos, I think probably what I'll do down the road is start live streaming on YouTube soon, and I'm thinking about doing some like gaming on a gaming channel, and then also maybe do like a regular show. Just because I tried my hand at editing videos, and I think I like live streaming better. But yeah, so that'll be coming pretty soon. Couple of months once I actually like get everything together for a show and day that works and all that. But yeah, that'll be on the works, or that'll be, it's in the works to happen soon. But yeah, for right now, just streaming at Twitch on Sergeant Herbs. But yeah, that's about it.
So, no, what do you got going on, man?
I got nothing really much going on. I'm still very busy. But you can find me, my channel, The Sentinel. I make heavy metal music videos and other pop culture videos. And I'm going to try to make another kind of stripperish song to stripperish video to like a heavy metal song like you saw earlier today with The Chase is Better Than the Catch. I also
Right
have
on.
Delivering the Goods in a
Ooh.
similar format. Yes.
Yeah, I
One of my
can
highest
fucking
viewed
see
videos.
that.
Okay,
Right
I'll
on,
put
right
I'll
on.
put it in the private chat for you guys. But other than that, you can also catch me over on my Instagram at Sentinel43 on Instagram, and you can see me posting. Sometimes I'll do action figure photography. Sometimes I'll do some where I'm showing like customs of stuff and other things. It's really eclectic. So yeah, that's what you can find me doing, and I hope I can do another game stream soon. I did one a couple days ago, fortunately, but yeah, I'll be around. So thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah.
Always, man.
Let me get the link for you.
And as for me, you can always catch me here every Sunday for Rock and Roll Religion. And then I do have a Twitch channel that I occasionally remember that I actually have and stream on. So follow me over there if you want to watch some BattleTech or Warhammer 40K stuff, because that's mostly what I do over there. But other than that, yeah, you know where to find me on this channel every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern, roughly. We got some pretty exciting episodes coming up, so stay tuned. And with that, stay healthy, stay safe. I love you all, and I'll catch you next time.